Just a couple of guys, a couple of microphones, and a heck of a lot of know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee. Alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Autos? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show. We are ready to go. We are into week 7 is upon us. Week 6 has gone flying by. Shit happened.
Well,
this weekend.
It was
just like always.
Up is down, down is up.
You know,
it's just another flip-flop
listen,
week. You know, a lot of upsets in the beginning. 1 o'clock games, I think.
Newsflash: the referees still aren't good. So it's okay. We're gonna have to deal with this all season long, and it's fine.
Don't be rude.
It's what it is. But thanks. If you're new to the show, could you please do us a huge favor and help us out? Help us with the algorithm, get us more noticed, and grow this football community that we're trying to grow. Head over to YouTube, search us up, Football on the Know Show. While you're there, hit that subscribe button. Also, hit the notification bell and click it on to all so you get all the notifications, let you guys know when we go live. As well, you can also follow us at Facebook and just become a member, become a know-it-all. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a crazy week again. We saw a lot of upsets, like I said. I mean, Kenny Pickett goes out of the game, concussion protocol, and
he got
Mitch
whacked.
Trubisky comes back.
He got whacked
into the game now, and it looks like a savior right there. And takes down the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are reeling, and Tom Brady yelling on the sidelines at these guys.
Losing it.
How much did they appreciate him for that Super Bowl run and see how he was a commander? But now they're getting scolded like children now. So this is what you signed up for, and this is what you got. He's got a lot of stress going on right now.
All I have to say about that situation is they're all grown men. And I'm sorry, if I'm a vet offensive lineman there, you're not talking to me that way, bro. I don't care who the hell you are. I'm a man. You don't talk to me like that. You don't scold me. Shut the fuck up, Tom, and sit down.
Nice. Excellent. All right. So, yeah, I mean, that happened during this week, and a bunch of upsets, like I said. But how about the Buffalo and Kansas City game? That game did not, disappoint. It was back and forth throughout the game.
Yeah, it was a great game.
It was. Absolutely.
Great.
It just reminded you of last year's playoff game. And, and again, we'll see these teams later on in the playoffs again.
And it was exactly that, too. It was that atmosphere. It was that playoff atmosphere. Watching that game, it felt like it was round one. Like, it felt like it was intense. Everybody was on the edge of their seats for every single play. Like, it was probably the best game we're going to see this season.
Right. And again, it comes out to the end, and you hear the difference with the crowd, going back and forth, getting into it, and then all of a sudden at the end, kind of silence too. But then when Buffalo scored with still some time left, and then you're looking at Patrick Mahomes, and you're like, oh, here they have an opportunity, and then throws another interception to lose it for him. But it goes to show you with Buffalo what they've got that complete team, and it's scary to see how that secondary's playing without even Tre'Davious White even to play a game this season here for them when he comes back. Oh, my goodness. That's the thing about this team. We've got the Philadelphia Eagles, who are undefeated right now, who potentially they could be the best team. Overall record-wise, they are the best team in the NFL right now. But when you look at the Buffalo Bills, they're just an all-around complete team on offense and on defense, running on all cylinders, and for the most part, staying healthy.
Well, the one thing that the Bills do have that not a lot of teams have in this NFL is depth. They have backups that could be starters elsewhere. Like, that's how special of a roster that they have. So even when a guy isn't there, like you mentioned, Tre'Davious White, the next man up mentality is really good as well. So they don't miss much. And they got some of these youngsters from a year or two ago that are starting to develop and starting to become more impactful every single week for them.
Absolutely. And these two star quarterbacks, you want to see how similar they are. Even, you look at the strong arms that they have and what they're doing around the league. Let's take a look at even their comparison of their stats right now. This is how close this is, Joe, here. They've got 200, I flip-flopped that. That's supposed to be the other way. But it's 260 to 229 in attempts. And then completions, Josh Allen is doing a lot better on that part. But he's got 66.9 to 65.9 2.9. 200 more yards on Josh Allen's side, but equal there with 17 touchdowns and 4 picks right there. So this is how similar these guys are here in the way they're performing, and they're still at the top of their level, in the top of the game right now in this AFC that seems like it's all over the place. Joe, we've looked at these divisions that we thought maybe were some of the toughest ones out there or front runners here, and a lot of last year's playoff teams, and you talk about, they every year, there's a playoff team or two that drop out. They're not going to make it this year. Seems like this year,
for sure.
There's a few of those top tier teams that we're not sure what the heck is going on here with these guys. You know what I mean? And a lot of it is injuries. I hear that too, but I think some of it too is personnel that they decided to go and start the season with, and now they're kind of like, whoa. Maybe we got to retool something and rethink some options here and trying to get this car back on the road here.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that a lot of teams that we thought were going to be very strong in week 1 and going forward are not that strong. Now that we're going into week 7, we can notice the weaknesses and the holes at certain positions that they still have that they have yet to fill. And until they do so, they won't be the team that we thought they were. So maybe they're going to have to, kind of get through the rest of the season and look forward to the off season and maybe make those changes there. Hopefully they all work out. But one team to think about is the Tennessee Titans haven't been that great. They've been playing mediocre football, especially on offense. And then defensively, a huge letdown. A once very strong, probably the strongest part of their team last year, is now they don't have it all together. Now I get it. They don't have. They lost one of their linebackers for the season, so he's been missing one of their pass rushers. But all in all, teams like that, teams like the Colts, we thought they got Matt Ryan, so that's pretty much what they need. They needed a true quarterback, and that's still not the answer. They still need more help besides the quarterback. They need more receivers. And the list goes on and on. There's other teams that are out there that are still in dire need, like Washington, still don't have a quarterback, still trying to figure things out. Maybe Taylor, now that he's going to assume that starting role with Wentz being out due to injury, maybe Washington could rebuild something with Taylor at the helm.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's something I've been looking forward for a while, and I think you will see something different, a little more, a sure thing. These guys will gel a lot better, I think, again, because they sat behind him. He let them lead the team last season and really bonded, I think. So if you're bringing in Carson Wentz, again, you had to, because you go and made that trade, you pay him whatever, and he's there now, so you got to put him in there. But now when you see kind of it's failing, but the injury happening on top of it, I mean, it was kind of one of those things, a blessing in disguise, if you want to call it that, I guess, in a sense.
Absolutely.
Where you kind of see Taylor Heineke come in here and would see if he can repeat what he did last year for these guys.
And we know that he's won games with them, but with less talent. If you remember, the last time he was the starter for Washington, who did he have besides a banged-up Curtis Samuel every once in a while? Or, Scary Terry McLaurin was the go-to guy, but when he's getting double-teamed every single rep, it's kind of hard to get him the ball. And then who do you have other than him? They didn't have anybody. Now, it looks like they got Jahan Dotson coming up. They got De'Ami Brown, who's starting to emerge as something special for them. And then you also have Curtis Samuel there. You know what I mean? When he can stay healthy. So they have weapons now. So maybe Taylor coming back in at this point in time is the best thing for Washington. And here's the big question mark that's going to happen. Wentz is going to be due back in about 4 weeks, maybe 5 or 6 weeks tops, right? When that happens, if Taylor is doing well, even if he goes 500, let's say Wentz is out for 4 weeks, he went 2-2, but you see something. You see something on the offense. If Ron Rivera goes back to Wentz, I think Ron Rivera just wrote his pink slip. He's going to be out of there at the end of the season, because what Taylor is doing, or what possibly could be doing for your franchise, and if you still decide to go back to Wentz because you traded for him, that's a bad decision, and that could write him off right there.
Well, it's tough because he already put himself in a bad situation by going to that press conference and bringing up the quarterback situation, but then realize he screwed up, and then going back out there and being on the opposite spectrum to where he's all swearing, all mad, and he's like, I made those decisions. I decided to do this, and that was on me.
That's a problem.
It's like, okay, so
you shouldn't have said that.
You just did that. Now you're saying that was all your decision not to do all that, even though you don't like it. Now your decision.
Not so good.
Yeah, absolutely. So Washington, that was a tough game too. Thursday night, that was tough to watch, man. Again, a lot of these Thursday nights, these Amazon games, I feel bad for Amazon.
I don't care.
Money in
all I have to say is I still think the Broncos Colts was at worst. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. So these primetime games, like I don't know who the scheduler is. The scheduler is for the NFL. But what I will say is that your job's got to be on the line after this season. Like you thought some of these matchups, and I understand, we get it. Some of these matchups are because one major player went to another team, so you want to see that player go against his old team type of thing, and we get that. But if both teams, just because that has happened, if both teams happen to go against each other, it doesn't mean you have to put them in prime time. If you can't project that those two teams are going to be must-see TV, like everybody knows, Bills Chiefs must-see. That's got to be prime time. You know what I mean? That just has to be. Or some of these bigger matchups. You know, those are what we want to see Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night. But I got to wonder, like, hopefully we see something change for next season. You know, hopefully the scheduling is way better because after seeing this, you can't help but there's no way that they have just as good ratings this season as they did the season prior. There's no way. There's probably people look at those matchups and like, yeah, I'm not even bother watching it. You know, I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to watch a movie, whatever. So maybe because the ratings dropping, because people are looking at these primetime games ahead of time, then maybe because the ratings are dropped down now, you got to make up for it next season. You got to give us just all big time hitters. You know what I mean? We can't let that go.
Yeah, and do you think maybe now that's part of the issue with now why they're trying to bring up that they might do Black Friday games now, like coming up? They're kicking it around that maybe Amazon again wants to be involved in that they're going to do that.
It's definitely happening.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm a fan of that. I understand that, like some,
I don't
football's
think
good and stuff like that too, but not everybody gets that day off either to watch it and stuff.
No,
so,
but I don't think this is
benefits from
I definitely don't think this is for the reason because, bad ratings, we're trying to expand. NFL's all about making money. So this is just another way to make TV money. That's all it is. They're just putting another game out there, and it's going to be a part of another thing, and they're going to get paid more.
Yeah, they'll get paid by the whatever streaming service that might be around. Stuff like that. But again, how many people are going to be able to view that? I mean, it's like not everybody. So I mean,
that's why you can watch it on your phone and stuff. So
yeah, but anybody who watches a football game on their phone while they're at work, I think, is a piece of garbage.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
No, it is. It is. You're supposed to be there to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Depends on your work.
I guess. Well, if you have one of those jobs, congratulations. But I mean, that's not really a productive.
You can still do your job and have it playing right there. You can
maybe for audio, yeah, I guess the audio. But if you're watching it, then you're definitely not doing your job. So I'm just saying. But I don't know. I don't know about it. I really don't like it. Because again, it takes away from one the importance of even Thursday games, like or for Thanksgiving, and two. Again, you're telling us you care about the health and safety of players, but you want to play them every single day of the week, just about, and then give them short weeks here and there, have them travel to London, maybe possibly put a London team over there in a division, and then have them play each other and come back and forth and travel over the place.
That's a whole different thing.
It's where does it end?
But what,
you know what I mean?
But what I'll say is like Friday really is no different than a Thursday. Like it's another day ahead, and in terms of scheduling,
sacrifice that.
Not really. I mean, think about it. Thursday night football is probably it's the earliest game that you'll play during the week, and that's considered the short week. But if you have two teams playing on Friday night that week, they have until Friday to play. So I mean, apples and oranges. Like it's still kind of the same scheduling, just instead of doing Thursday night, now you have a game on Friday night.
I don't know. I just still think, again, for a league that seems like there's injuries nonstop throughout this league, more than I've ever noticed before in years prior.
Really?
I think everybody's injured all the time now. I mean, look at what some of these fantasy owners trying to grab for guys, off of waiver wire that they can. This guy's back up in here and there.
Everybody's injured every season like this. It's always crazy.
It's getting
with
worse
injuries.
every year, I think.
You think
and
so?
Again, yeah, and even look
I think
at
it's about the same.
Well, no, and even look at the multiple concussions. Even after you're telling me that you're trying to design helmets to be safer and all this other stuff and all this stuff you're working on.
Yeah.
When you're having this concussion issue, just like throughout the league again, like multiple people.
2 years
multiple
ago,
weeks in
it
a row.
was worse than what it is today, because with those new technologies, they have brought the concussion percentages down slightly, but it's down from what it was 3 years ago. I mean, so I think that they are putting an effort into making the helmets, more to take on more of an impact, and it is slowing the curve of concussions happening. Yes, we're still going to see them happen because honestly, it really all the injuries and the concussions that are happening now are all stemming from taking that physicality in the hitting process in the offseason away. Like now you when preseason, in the 80s and 90s and even the early 2000s, preseason games, they were practices, double, when you did double time practices, they were all with collisions, with hits. They were conditioning your body for the season. Mm-hmm. Now that that's been taken away, you're seeing a lot more injuries. And I'm not saying that's the reason why, but that is definitely a big reason that we've seen an escalation of injuries happening in the regular season and concussions happening more often. Not to say that they didn't happen before, but we're seeing a record number of injuries and concussions happening now just because everybody is, honestly, they have soft practices. There's no hitting going on to try to condition your body in football shape, like they like to term it, for the regular season. You know what I mean? These guys are pulling hamstrings. They're tearing ACLs very commonly now. Almost every week you're seeing a guy go down with a big major injury. And honestly, it's because of conditioning. It's poor conditioning from preseason into the regular season.
Well, either way you look at it, there are still Thursday night games. And just to let you guys know that tomorrow, if you're out and about in the Capital Region there, we are going to be broadcasting live from Saki in Latham, New York. That's right, October 20th, 7 to 8. Maybe a little sooner, depends on what we feel like. But there will be another jersey giveaway at halftime. And we have two to give away, so a choice of two. So we have a Saints jersey and a Cardinals jersey. So you get to choose whoever is that lucky winner. All you got to do is subscribe to our channel and be there present to win. And extended happy hour, $2 Sapporo drafts, and also select apps out there. So I'm excited.
Yeah, extended happy hour. It will be 5 to 9. Mm-hmm. So make sure you get there early. Mm-hmm. Listen, they got $5 appetizers that are going to be there. They got a few choices to pick from.
Special
also,
cocktails,
you
too.
got to take advantage of the $2 drafts. The $2 Sapporo drafts, that is a huge, huge discount. If you love beer, that's the place to be. Tomorrow night at Saki in Latham, New York.
Sapporo better than I like a lot of domestics that are around here. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely tastes better and it goes down a lot smoother.
Yeah, and then we got the jersey giveaway, so make sure
a lot of fun.
If you happen to win the jersey, and here's the thing, it's very simple how to enter. You subscribe to our YouTube channel, you show us that you subscribe to us, and if you are already subscribed, show us that you did already. Mm-hmm. And then you'll enter your name, drop it in the box, and at halftime we will announce the winner. You have to be present. Mm-hmm. You have to be there in order to win the jersey. And then you get to pick whether you want to be the Saints jersey or the Cardinals jersey.
All right. Also, I hear we're going to have a special guest on with us, too. So that'd be a lot of fun.
We
so
are.
come down to Saki in Latham tomorrow and hang out with us and watch the Cardinals and the Saints here battle it out. So that should be pretty interesting. Let's see what we can get out of these offensive that has been struggling for those two teams here lately. But one other thing, too, if we want to talk about stuff that's going around the NFL right now, the fall meetings are going on with owners, and they're meeting to discuss a bunch of different topics, some that people, not so sure about. One is, possibly the option of ousting Daniel Snyder and him from the Washington Commanders. Now, Joe, do you think some of this might actually happened this season. I mean, they've talked about it multiple times. He's said that he's dug up dirt on the NFL too. He has stuff too, so he's got emails and everything. And it seemed like a witch hunt going after him, and he's ready to fight back. So what do you think is going to come out of this whole thing? Has it finally come to the owners to where there's pressure on them to just say, this guy's got to go?
Well, there's already several owners. I don't know how many, but there's definitely owners that never wished the Snyder family to be able to obtain a team and, acquire one. But there's also owners that think now that he has a team, they're like, oh, well, he should definitely not. He's got to be ousted. The big thing is, and here's the other thing too, is the big indicator too of all this is that when Dan Snyder transferred power to his wife to be the chairman of the organization, that right there shows guilt in my eyes. Like, why are you doing that to hopefully keep the organization under your family's name? So there might be some hardcore truth about this. We're not going to know any of the details, obviously, until, like, who knows, 5 years down the road. But what it looks like the NFL is prepared in the meetings to have a big, long discussion. Obviously, Snyder's going to be there. He's going to say his piece. The other owners are going to convene, and they're going to talk and give their points of view. And there's going to be a vote. There's going to be a vote on whether Dan Snyder and his family stays in control of the Washington Commanders, or very possible that if they reach 24 votes, that's what they need. They need 24 votes to get him ousted. So if they are able to get that much support to push him out, it's going to happen, and then he'll be forced to sell the team.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we're paying attention to throughout the night to see what happens with that and what goes on.
But if you ask Dan, he's like, "Oh, they can't fuck.
They
with
can't
me.
take away." Well, you know what? I would like to see it go as far as it can
It's
to
gonna
see
be
what
crazy.
he has even too. I mean, because they want to see everything spill out. Because we've even heard different things about different teams and what they've done, whether it be in racist remarks here and there, mistreatment of cheerleaders and stuff like that,
sexual, how they word it.
Harassment.
Yeah, sexual harassment in the office. That's the reason why what's his face from the Panthers, he got ousted, and he had to sell the team. So also another quick note, this kind of ties with Dan Snyder in a sense, with Washington anyway, is remember all those emails, the 650,000 emails that the NFL kind of combed through, and then they found one email about Gruden saying something about Goodell in a negative light. Well, that case, too, Gruden's case is right around the bend, and it looks like it's trending towards being a public trial. That is a huge win for Gruden, because now it's not going to be handled in behind closed doors, and the NFL could be exposed. Gruden also says that he has stuff on Roger Goodell. And with Dan Snyder and Gruden, if they both have not so nice evidence on Goodell could be ousted out of being the commissioner of the NFL.
Fatality.
So there's a lot going on, and it's almost like a triad of court cases that are all pointing towards the NFL. If Snyder gets his way, because of that tie with Gruden and his emails with Washington and Bruce Allen, who was the GM there, who knows? We could be on the verge of something really big happening, and where the NFL gets exposed. Right. And if that happens and it all falls on Roger Goodell's head, the NFL owners will have no choice but to oust Goodell. So there's a lot on the line.
And maybe that stems to other things we've heard about what's going on with the fall meetings, with Jerry Jones being upset and yelling at Robert Kraft and stuff, and people even looking confused on what the hell you're talking about. But he was one of the guys that voted against reinstating
the only one
for Roger Goodell to redo his contract to stay. So is it, like you said, like a triad of things? Is it going to be Jerry Jones, John Gruden and Daniel Snyder team versus the world? The NFL.
I swear, Jim, this is almost like the male soap opera. It's NFL of our lives.
It is.
That's what it is. Ooh. And you also have we heard a tiff between, like you mentioned, Robert Kraft and Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones was the only one to vote against Goodell being in, which is a surprise to me because honestly, I thought Jerry Jones and him were like close, him and Goodell. And if he's the only one saying, no, I don't want him to be the commissioner anymore, and the only one, and then Kraft looks at him with confusion, Jerry Jones basically kind of threatened him, said, hey, don't screw with me. You can't mess with me.
Yeah.
What are you doing? And Kraft looked at him confused and said, bruh, what are you talking about? What?
Yeah.
So there's also confusion with that that it was a heated discussion between those two in that meeting after that vote took place. I don't know if it was about that vote. I don't know if Kraft was supposed to vote no too. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Or it could be something about they were just talking about, and you know the media kind of saw what was happening and then just kind of took it for what it was, maybe about Goodell. So there's a lot going down behind closed doors. We don't know what exactly is going to happen for the future of the NFL or for these court cases, but maybe not everybody is on the same playing field. Maybe not everybody is on the same page going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, crazy week. A lot of stuff going on in the news and the headlines right now. One thing that isn't crazy is going to visit our friends right there at PPK. You can see one of our sponsors.
That's
one
right.
of our proud sponsors here. They're also on Freeman's Bridge Road, just like our friends at Mohawk Honda.
That's right.
And now is the better time than ever to go check them out because you know what? They had 2 different stores, but they're remodeling in one and they've moved into the other. So now you can, if you want a custom closet, you want a custom kitchen,
there you go.
You just go to one stop right there, 115 Freeman's Bridge Road, and check out what they have to offer. They have, glass repair too as well.
They got a lot to offer, man.
Custom closets, custom kitchens. Just talk to one of their great designers. They'll lead you, into whatever you want. You can pick out the stone countertops there too as well because they're part of a stone division too that's down the road. So everything you need possibly for your home could be right there at Paul Perry Kitchens. Check them out, paulperrykitchens.com, or call them at 518-688-0898.
And the one thing I'll say about Paul Perry Kitchens, as well as my partner here, he actually happens to work there. So you're getting quality products there. You're getting the quality cabinets. You're getting customizable too. Like, listen, anything you want, they can do it. They're a superior,
I like
professional business that does work well, high quality. Make sure you go to Paul Perry Kitchens.
All right. Great endorsement, Joe. Absolutely.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
I hope to be sponsored one day by them
live
personally.
Shows. They help do our live shows that we do too, so we really appreciate it. So, Joe, again, when's something that isn't going special right now? It's the Carolina Panthers. We talked about them a little bit last week because, again, they go and fire Matt Rule, right? And you're like, because they're losing, not getting it done.
He wanted out, though. He wanted out.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that seemed like he was in over his head. He just had to get out.
Now he's going to be probably one of the highest paid college football coaches sought after, after the season.
Back to do that. Yeah, absolutely. But, are the Panthers, here's the question, are they imploding? The Robbie Anderson trade that just happened too as well, after he was issues on the field last week. And then Baker Mayfield also, we're hearing, is going to be competing for the starting job when he comes back. It just isn't given to him when he gets healthy. So Steve Wilkes, after the Matt Rule situation's gone, he's in there, and it seems like he's putting his foot down on things now too. And I think maybe some of these players are just kind of done with the whole coaching staff altogether. So what's going on? And also bring into the fact that the GM had said, we're not looking to trade Christian McCaffrey, but we'll accept phone calls. So in case you guys are calling right now,
listen,
call us now and talk to hot girls.
All I have to say is come on. Last season there was rumors circulating before he got injured. They could possibly be looking to trade him for draft picks for whatever they can get because he's not the healthiest running back for them. Great player, don't get us wrong, but they were looking to cash in last year. Now, come on. The GM, you gotta let's just be honest. You're looking to move on from him because you don't think he's gonna hold up, and you want to cash in now. We get that. So yes, that's true. They are going to be looking
bigger than right now because he's actually staying healthy and everything.
Yeah, so. But that's true. That part is true. We already know that they're probably calling other teams up, even if they're not interested, at least to find out maybe what they would consider giving up for him. He is a great player, but you do run that risk of, is he going to be able to stay healthy? So that's that. as far as Wilks goes, taking over the head coaching role for the Panthers, it's not his first rodeo. He had a very short stint back with the Cardinals. You know what I mean? Got his first head coaching gig with Arizona, and it fell apart real quick in like 1 year. So now he's getting a second chance, so to speak, to kind of maybe change the tides for Carolina and win a few games instead of lose the rest of them. So he's starting to establish dominance, so to speak. You know, now I am the big dog. I am here. I am running this ship. You listen to me. The whole blow up with Robbie Anderson, though, kind of more stemmed from the assistant than the head coach. I know there was a lot of barking going back and forth between one of the assistants, most likely the offensive assistant for the Panthers. I don't know what sparked it, but Robbie Anderson literally lost himself on the sideline and was like very evidently, the camera showed it, like berating the coach, yelling at him, screaming at him, the coach yelling and screaming back at him. A lot of, not so nice words were probably said. And then Steve Wilks was getting aggravated with the whole squabble that was happening. And he starts yelling at the assistant saying, shut up, stop it, stop. And then when he does that,
embarrassing us on TV.
and he does that, Robbie Anderson still chirps until finally Wilks grows tired of it and just says, hey, Robbie, hit the showers. We're done. You're because they benched him. You know what I mean? So he took it very offensively and said, what are you doing benching me? I'm one of your starters. How could you? So that it all blew up on the sideline very quickly. And then the very next day, I was waiting for it. I was looking at the transaction, you know what I mean? The transaction news. And I'm like, this blew up on the sideline that quickly. There's no way he stays. He's getting traded. And wouldn't you know it, he ends up getting traded to the Arizona Cardinals, where
Order 66.
Wilks once coached. So you see the tie there, and it was very interesting on how fast it happened. It literally happened the very next day. A trade was approved of, a 6th and 7th round pick, I think 2024 and 2025 or something like that. Now he's over to Arizona already. He's suiting up. He's practicing with the team. And from what I hear, he's going to play as soon as tomorrow night. There's definitely not enough time to learn the playbook, but maybe they're like, hey, we're going to use him for a couple plays, rotate him in and out.
They can
and just say, tell him what he's got to do. You know what I mean? So,
and they need it right now too with the wide receiver situation.
He's a gifted deep threat receiver. And for whatever reason, it didn't work out in Carolina. We know that he left the Jets. It didn't work out there. And to be honest, when he was a Jet, they weren't really using him as, a complete receiver. They weren't using him in the short, intermediate, and deep. They were just using him in deep. Then he goes to Carolina, where it looked like when Sam Darnold was the quarterback, where he was getting utilized in every route of the tree. So you started to see a spark there. And now we are right here, gets traded to Arizona. And this is actually a brilliant move by Arizona, because right now, Brown, Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown comes down with a big-time injury, definitely going to be out at least 6 weeks, possibly for the season. We don't know. We haven't gotten confirmation yet, but wow, Robbie Anderson becomes available for you. You end up pulling a trade and trade peanuts for him. And now you're going to have this week, you're going to have Robbie Anderson at your disposal, and DeAndre Hopkins makes his return this tomorrow night. So Kyler Murray's like, oh, thank God.
Make your dreams come true.
Finally going to have my big-time weapon in Hopkins, and now I get another weapon in Robbie Anderson. So it probably works out for everybody there in Arizona, and we'll see where the Carolina Panthers are going to be headed, because right now it definitely looks like they're starting to come unglued. And whether Wilks is the interim coach, maybe he's campaigning for the job, obviously, after this season. But so far, it's been very rocky in Carolina. And now you also announce none other than Baker Mayfield and saying what we kind of thought, where we're like, he was kind of handed that job, not really worked for it, and has been terrible, to be honest, with Carolina. Now Sam Darnold is due to come off the IR. They have, I forgot what it is. They have like so many days, 45 days or something like that, to put him on the active roster. And in doing so, I'm sorry, we talked about Darnold before. Darnold he deserves another chance to not only take over that starting role, but see what he can do now. You've already seen what Baker could do. Didn't work out well. Now that Darnold's coming back from injury, what's the harm in switching QBs?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it stinks too now that Robbie Anderson's gone because they did have that tie right there. That they
That's right.
Were
That's
that
right.
good connection. But maybe again, DJ Moore's looking at it as like, oh, maybe I can be effective now too.
He would
again
be.
Because you looked at what was going on with Baker Mayfield, only throwing 50% here, and on the touchdown to interception ratio, he's got 4 TDs and 4 INTs. And their problem on offense too is they're going too many 3 and outs. They have, they're the last in plays run too in this league, and that's what what that is. That's 1, 2, 3 and done. Punt, 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 punt. And that puts you behind. And that defense that we thought was going to be pretty decent, and they're young still, they're getting tired early, so they can't keep them in the games. They had opportunities in these games this season, and they've been in it. And early on they had a win, so they've been in some of these guys. But then when your offense isn't really doing anything for you and keeping you off the field to rest a little bit, it weighs on you, and you just bend so much until you finally break. And this is what you're seeing here. So now the restart. I'm excited to see what you could do with Sam Darnold, because one thing that he also does, I think, that he is underrated with, he makes some plays with his legs too. So he can still make some stuff out into the open field and kind of scary and do that stuff for your offense when the play is breaking down, instead of like Baker Mayfield you saw. Once his reads weren't there, he just tossed it away out of bounds. Just easy, just like boom.
Yeah, it almost looked like he gave up.
Yeah, absolutely. So instead of make the dumb mistake,
But that's the thing is, when you have a guy like DJ Moore, he's your primary receiver. You should be utilizing him when you can. He might not be open every single play, just like no receivers open every single play. But
in their minds,
even though they'll tell you that. But when Darnold comes back, if he's given the torch to kind of lead this team and take it back over, he's got a couple of newer weapons though too to utilize. Laviska Shenault got traded over from the Jaguars, like for a second life at playing in the NFL, and he was banged up when he got there, but now it looks like he's healthy. So maybe that's someone else he could kind of rely on in the slot and what have you. So they still have CMC. I mean, if Sam Darnold comes back and they don't trade him, things could turn around.
Going. They really got to get him going, get him available to get him into some plays here and get that offense going, because it really needs to rotate around him and get it going. Look what the Giants have done with Saquon Barkley. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's the best offensive weapon that you have.
Right.
You got to revolve your offense around him and get him going here. So that would
if
alleviate
they don't trade him
issues. Off of your quarterback situations.
You got to have that disclaimer in there,
right? And it's what, in this division the way it is right now. I mean, it's still kind of anybody's game that division.
And it's still early.
Some of these, it's been nuts.
There's still a long season to go, everybody. Real quick, I just want to mention this too. We asked you, if you're new to the show, help us out, help us grow our football community, help us kind of pick up on this algorithm on YouTube. Search us up, Football on the Know Show. Also hit that subscribe button when you're there. Hit that notification bell. Let you guys know when we go live. And you also can follow us on Facebook. That is and become a know-it-all.
Yeah, there you go.
One other thing too is like, listen, if you're not a fan of video and you're not a fan of just kind of like watching us,
catch us on the go.
Maybe you're not attracted to us, and that's fine. You can also take us on the go. Anywhere you get your podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, you name it, we're there. Make sure you hit a follow on there. Take us along with you. Help us grow.
Well, let me tell you about growing too, Joe. Actually, you're going to tell everybody about growing.
You got to stop doing that. You got to stop saying I'm going
to tell you about this.
Tell you,
and then I do. I'm like, no, Joe's going to do
never
it.
Mind. I'm going to pass it off. But anyway,
Joe's growing as well, and our sponsors that help us. Yeah, I think individually and spiritually, you're growing.
Really?
Joe. Yeah, absolutely. So
wow.
Just like with our sponsors, we grow together as a family, and Colorize
I
is
hope you're not
growing
talking about my weight.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, Colorize, the paint professionals, everybody. That's it. Colorize, baby. Get jacked up for this. Colorize is a locally owned and operated Benjamin Moore dealership. with locations in Clifton Park, Niskayuna, and Queensbury, and soon to be Troy. Yes, they focus on the outstanding products from Benjamin Moore. Everybody knows who Benjamin Moore is, the paint professionals, right? But as an independent dealer, they also have access to almost everything paint and finish related. Serving everyone from the professional to the do-it-yourselfer, Colorize is eager to help and are capable of making your next project go a lot smoother. Colorize. Scroll down, please.
No, that's it. Oh, yeah, Colorize.
The right paint.
There you
See,
go.
even I know there was
There you
more.
go, see?
and advice from local professionals who care.
Who care. You should have memorized that part. But
No, I don't memorize anything.
At
There's nothing
mycolorize.com.
upstairs.
We got some new Colorized swag, too. That was pretty cool.
I'm
from
wearing it
Link
right
and
now.
stuff,
You
so
just
there
can't
go.
see.
It's just under there. It's keeping them warm.
It's
So how about
lingerie.
that? He's showing his
from
true
Colorize.
colors. That's right. So it's lingerie. And that's our new line from lingerie from Colorize. But all right, so next we've got a fun little segment we're going to do before we get into our picks. By the way, if you guys have anything you want to bring up too on the
Yeah,
comments, light the
comment,
comments
baby,
up, We'll
comment.
bring up anything you guys want.
Listen,
out there
if
you got any
anybody,
questions.
if you're watching out there, make sure, hey, don't be shy. Comment down below. Just say, even if you want to just say hi. We're cool guys. We'll say hi back. We'll give you a shout out on the show.
Yeah,
And if
we
you
love
want to
shout-outs.
take it a step further in this relationship, you can also ask us the tough questions about the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. But right now we're going to do this thing and segment we're calling "Are You For Real?" Are you for real?
I hope so.
And some of the teams, I guess, that we're looking at, we're just going to look at a handful of here that, again, I don't think a lot of people really expect a lot of the stuff to happen this season with some of these teams.
Right.
And so we're kind of just going to debate them a little bit, just kind of look at them and say, ask ourselves, like, Joe, you think these guys are for real or not? I
me.
mean, who knows? Or do you think just a flash in the pan? Or let's look at their schedule and see what they can do. But let's start off with my first team that I thought of here.
here
Let's
we
go
go.
with the Atlanta Falcons, Joe. Falcons, I admit I picked them to be last in the division.
think a
Didn't
lot of people
expect a
did.
whole lot just because of some of the things they lost. They lost Matt Ryan on top of it. Arthur Smith still was able to do some stuff last year, showing that, reviving Cordarrelle Patterson's career and getting that done. But
Right,
again, losing some weapons here. But still managing ways to win. And this defense actually has been playing really good too, Joe. And they've got that underdog mentality. Much like what the defense of the Philadelphia Eagles did, back when their Super Bowl run, they feel like nobody gives them a chance or whatever. They're out there to fight, and they're fighting, and they're winning.
Yeah, I mean, the Falcons have been a pleasant surprise. Honestly, like, I had them last two in the division just because we didn't know what to expect. New quarterback with Marcus Mariota coming over. Used to work with Arthur Smith back in Tennessee, so they have some familiarity there. But even so, you had to look around Marcus Mariota. What did they have besides Kyle Pitts at the time? Before the draft even happened, everybody was kind of questioning that offensive line. How well were they going to play? What was the offense with Mariota in it going to look like? And honestly, Drake London, when they drafted Drake London, first-round pick, you don't know what to expect with rookie wide receivers because typically, they don't make a big impact their first year. It takes some time for them to get acclimated to the league. But Drake London has been a very impactful weapon for them, even in his rookie year, with Kyle Pitts, with the running game that they've been able to establish. But unfortunately, Cordarrelle Patterson sustained an injury, so he'll be out a couple more weeks. But that team overall was very impressive on offense. And then what was a big problem last year for them was defense. Even having Grady Jarrett, even having Deion Jones at the time, even having, the corners with A.J. Terrell and some of these younger players coming up, there were still big question marks on that side of the ball. And honestly, I didn't give them too much credit. I was like, wow, they still got a lot of work to do on that side. Offensively, you don't know what to expect. And that's kind of why we felt that maybe they're not going to make a big impact this year. Maybe it's going to be the following year. But, wow. All I have to say is not only did that defense play so much better, they have been playing balls to the wall, defense, sideline to sideline. They've been actually killing it on the defensive side of the ball. Despite having some weaknesses or what have you, they've been able to cover that up and put some duct tape and bubble gum on those areas. But they've been able to play relatively well. Same thing with offense. Now we're starting to see what this offense is looking like. Marcus Mariota is making very good throws, good decisions. He's also taking off with the ball a lot more often to gain yardage as well with his legs. So I will have to say I'm pleasantly surprised, and I will say right now they are for real.
Oh, wow. Bang. So Marcus Mariota, for me, again, is still the same old Marcus Mariota.
Hater.
He's got
Hater.
6 touchdowns,
Hater.
6 INTs.
Hater.
He's a running guy that throws a ball every now and then.
Hater.
And this is what you're seeing with this offense. What they're up there second, I think, in rushing, and third in rushing attempts, I think, altogether, too. So they're up there in running attack, even without Cordarrelle Patterson in there. You got Algier, you've got Marcus Mariota himself who's putting out there and getting that running game going, and that's what they're working around. And that's what basically Marcus Mariota has been his staple, though, and they've tried to get him around in this type of offense, and that's what's working. It is the scheme altogether. And again, we're not acting like, all of a sudden they're like undefeated or like a huge record, but a team that was competing in some of the games that they lost. Good. But they're even at 3-3 right now, but they are winning in here, and they just beat a really good team. So they're competing. For me, I think they're going to compete. I think they're going to lose a few more, too, because, again, when it comes to some other teams that are better, they might falter a little bit. But at this point in the NFL, who is a good team, except for very few that you might be able to pinpoint, but teams that were good last year definitely aren't looking that good this year, especially in the NFC with teams like the Green Bay Packers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who look awful on offense altogether, just absolute dreadful. So, for me, again, I don't think they're for real, but I like what they're doing. They're getting it done, and I'm actually pleasantly surprised by what Arthur Smith has been able to do because, again, we talked about it when he first got the offensive coordinator job for the Titans. He was a lifer, like tight end coach and whatever backup coach or whatever, nothing really. He was just hanging around the organization since, what was that one coach that they had? It was a while, but he went through multiple regimes. Still kind of stuck around that Titans team. But now you see him in the helm here at the head coach, and he looks like he's looking pretty good for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the reason why I said they were kind of for reals, because they are way better than what we anticipated them being.
Absolutely. Let's look at my next team, and I've got the New York Football Jets, Joe. What about the Jets here and what they've been able to do ever since that statement here that Robert Saleh was taking receipts? Boom, he's popping them on here and there, and they're fighting like dogs. And, it's not even their offense, whatever. Their defense is doing great. Sauce Gardner is just absolutely stunning. And you see what happened with that draft and how well they drafted. And it's really paying dividends here, and it's showing now finally on the field. And Zach Wilson, although he still makes mistakes here and there, having his mobility has been able to alleviate some of that issue there with the offensive line and with that offense to keep the play going and keep the play moving, not that you didn't have before with Joe Flacco.
No, and we kind of said that when Zach Wilson was returning, that he was going to also offer that the mobility with his legs, in the offense, and he was going to be able to escape pressures and what have you. So I will say this about the Jets. They still got a little bit more to go. We already kind of knew that before the season even started, but I am pleasantly surprised on how competitive they've been playing, even with the loss of Mekhi Becton. That was a huge loss, but I mean, let's face it, the guy hasn't played in 3 seasons. He's always injured. So they have to play without him regardless. Hopefully one of these seasons, maybe next year, he'll stay healthy. But defensively, listen, we were very excited for them defensively and what they were able to obtain in the draft. Offensively, they have some young weapons. Corey Davis is still like one of the primary receivers. Elijah Moore, surprisingly, who I thought was going to be one of these guys that were going to move the chains quite often and everything, is kind of like out of the loop for some reason. So I wonder what the disconnect is with that on offense. But Bryce Hall has been lighting it up in the backfield, definitely the primary back for them. They finally found their number one guy to tote the rock. And with Zach Wilson's creativity and spontaneous play at times, it's working on offense. And then defensively, they are getting better every single week collectively. They got a lot of young players that are all playing for each other, and they are beating competition that we didn't think they would be able to beat, like the Packers, who they kind of stunned us and said, wow, that's a statement game. Like they are really playing very well so far. And obviously, I don't know how far they can go with this. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna have a shot, at the towards the end of the season to maybe make the wild card. But it's exciting to see an organization that has been trying to get back to glory, and it looks like they're on the cusp of becoming at least a competitive team that we've seen, but maybe more in the future. So
yeah, absolutely.
For me, I would say they're for real right now because they have definitely superseded expectations.
Yeah. So there you go with that. I mean, again, Jets and New York teams right now seem to be at a nice spot right now, especially in the NFL, but possibly now, the Yankees still in the playoffs too here for the baseball and everything stuff. We'll just pray for the Knicks still, I guess, for them. God, forbid the damn Knicks, but they're the only thing holding all the New York teams back. But, yeah, it looks pretty good what they're able to do. And, again, Joe, you talked about that defense again, ranked 9th right now in yards. And also turnover. The turnover game is key here. They're 5th right now in turnovers, and you saw it against good quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and things like that, being able to get the turnovers. That is key against a quarterback that can just drop something on you real quick and just lose. You can lose a game in just a click, just like that. So the turnover game, that's how you can win all the time, and they're getting the teams off the field. So the Jets, I liked what they're doing again, too. They got a little ways going, but, hey, they're surprising me right now. Again, I just don't know.
I like what I see.
I'm not sure, though.
I like what I see, and they're only going to get better next year.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, they should. Yeah, only can get better. All right, next up. We'll stick with New York. We got the New York Football Giants, Joe. Now the Giants again. Back-to-back weeks, they take down the Green Bay Packers and the Baltimore Ravens here. And down in that game, the last game here, by 10 with only a limited amount of time. And the defense, again, you talk about these different offenses and how the league's trying to change, trying to get scoring. And this is some of the things that they're actually having conversations about in the fall meetings and stuff, the numbers that they're seeing between scoring and blah, blah, blah. And they brought up the fact that, the scoring differential here of games of being won is under 10, which is something that they wanted. So you are seeing the difference and the parity that they've been looking for now. So you're finally seeing that. It hasn't been seen in like 10, 20 years here.
Yeah, the average is 8.9.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're starting to see it. So that means these defenses also are getting a lot better.
Right. It's the first time we've seen that average that low since like 1936.
Yes.
Just imagine that, guys. 1936.
Yes.
90 years ago. It's crazy.
Absolutely. So, I mean, and the Giants right there making big defensive plays right there to kind of help that offense out, and the offense scoring when they're given those turnovers and things like that and those stops. Big plays at big times, and it's heavy Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones, again, limiting the mistakes and getting it open to some of these guys, whether it be Bellinger or whoever might be out there at the field at that possible time, because, again,
Rondell Robinson.
Rondell Robinson will hope, again, be on their field more, but and Thibodeau's making some plays now. He's growing weekly, as you see. In first game, again, not so much pressure, but week to week, getting just a little bit of a hand out there to get blocks and things like that. Yeah. Hopefully he's maturing and getting into this, but the Giants are buying into this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, do you think they're for real? You're a Giants fan.
I'm a Giants fan.
So here's the thing. You're a Giants fan. You know your team very well. You know what I mean? And and obviously, like, we pay attention to the NFL, but you know the ins and outs of your team extremely well. So you see stuff when you watch football differently than what, just anybody when they watch football. They're just watching and hoping their team wins. But, like, there's certain things that you can see, like maybe a player that is excelling that you didn't think would do much this year or whatever. But in your eyes, for this team, are they for real or are they just for right now?
Yeah, and I think they're for real. And then, like you've talked about the last teams here with moving forward too, that's what I see. I see this is a great start, but then also moving forward, because the difference that you see with this team is they have life and they're not afraid to keep going. They don't roll over like you saw teams last year and then even before with other regimes. They seemed like once they were down, they got defeated, and then you see Saquon Barkley at the end again, like, oh, we lost again. Here we go. It's just loss after loss or whatever. And despite having injuries, still putting a field, manning a field out there, a team, and winning with what you have. And the biggest difference is the defense. You know,
Yes,
the
absolutely.
blitzing nonstop, getting pressure in those situations to where even they might get the slightest lead, not backing down and saying, hey, we'll give you everything underneath.
Yeah,
No,
right,
they're just
right.
saying, we're going to still play our
Right.
game. We're going to pressure the daylights out of you. We're going to bring safeties. We're going to bring this guy over here. And it's worked. That's what I mean. That's why you see these defensive plays where you're getting those blocks that turn into interceptions, pressuring Lamar Jackson to where he rolls out and then throws into something to try and scramble and make something happen and doesn't see Love come across there and get the pick, just like that. So pressure is key right there, and that's what the Giants are doing differently on defense.
And one thing that they didn't miss on after the whole coaching change and the different schemes that were implemented is their defense is still really good. So, I mean, they didn't miss a beat on that side, which is absolutely surprising, to be honest. Whenever you change regimes like that, there's usually some turnover. There's usually some changes and modifications that are made, so much so that it makes it hard for a team to stay competitive,
Even with tripping
on one
the fat,
side or the other.
I mean, you got rid of, James Bradbury, guys like that too, Martinez gone, and then others, linebackers too that aren't there anymore. And you have these guys say, you guys are the guys, let's get it done. And they're doing it.
Well, yeah, I mean, part of that is because of injuries like Blake Martinez. They didn't listen. They didn't have enough confidence. Him coming back from his injury, he was going to be able to do the same things he did before. So it's like it's just being smart about your personnel, and they've done a very good job of scouting, of adding certain free agents that they thought they needed, and implementing their schemes to a point where they haven't missed a beat on defense, and offensively they're still trying to figure it out. Yes, the offensive line isn't where they want it to be just yet, but it's getting better. Yes, they don't have really weapons because injuries are crazy right now at the Giants facility, and Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones. So Saquon Barkley really is the glue on offense that's holding this thing together, because to be completely honest, if you don't have Barkley, or for some reason something was to happen to him where he wasn't able to play, then this offense would fall apart. This and then you're back to being one-sided, just good defense and not so good on offense. So hopefully the Giants can keep this thing going. And honestly, like, I've been pro Giants for like the last 3 years and saying now's the season they're going to turn around. Now's the season they're going to turn around, over and over, because it's like you see the pieces that they put on the roster and you're like, man, they could potentially
good,
be a
right.
sleepy type of team, and they've snuck up on us this year. And it looks like not only with the new regime in place, but it looks like everybody has bought into the new coaching staff. Everybody is all aboard. Everybody is doing their jobs, and for them to be not only a competitive team, but so solid. They are like, I've never seen a team with a new coaching staff become so tight in such a short amount of time.
Right.
They're willing to run through a wall for Brian Daboll, and because of that, because of that family oriented, that tightness, that bond that they have, they are going running through teams that we didn't think they were going to even be in games. So the Giants, they have to be for real right now. Like, despite their weaknesses, they're able to overcome those and overcome a team like the Ravens. Who honestly thought that the Giants were going to beat the Ravens? I didn't. Honestly, I didn't. I thought the Ravens were going to win that game. And the Giants they're the hard-nosed, blue-collar team that they are, and they're proving everybody wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, one of those teams I think that are for real and moving on. And so we'll see, though. This is a key right here this next coming week. And if they win against the Jags, because we've seen the Giants before play hard against good teams and then
I understand.
take foot off the gas.
But
for
we
a
have
team like
already
this.
witnessed them overcoming odds we didn't think. They beat the Packers. They beat the Ravens. What I mean, what other test do you need?
Yeah.
So, like, the only thing that I'll say is consistency. Can they keep this going consistently against the Jaguars? Because they, honestly, the Jaguars are another one of those teams that are kind of ascending a little bit. Like, now, they're trying to get things going in the right direction. And yeah, they've surprised us a couple times, and then sometimes they've let us down.
Yeah.
The Giants cannot let up just because it's the Jaguars and they're kind of going through a little bit, turmoil right now.
Yep.
The Giants can't overlook them.
Yeah, you
so
still
they
gotta
got
watch
to
that
still handle
defense.
business.
Absolutely. All right. Now, one of the teams I brought up here to ask if they're for real, because sneakily, again, nobody's talking about them. They're talking about the Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills.
Score!
Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles on the other side. But here we are with the Vikings at they're 5-1 right now, despite how poorly really Kirk Cousins has been playing. You know what I mean? But still,
he has his moments.
Justin Jefferson getting his due there, and Dalvin Cook again running like a beast, and that's the thing. I think that's key for them, keeping him healthy and driving that offense through the run game. That helps Kirk Cousins in his time there for the Vikings, because this is a put out or shut up year here for him altogether within this new regime here, because he's got to prove to them that he still is the guy, because he's been on this contract for a while and is supposed to have been the guy.
Last year.
Yeah, to take them to where they needed to go, and they haven't been back there since when they had Case Keenum. So this is it. This is your time. And with the Packers playing the way they've been playing, like, they're ripe for the picking right now. And sneakily, the Vikings are sitting there at 5-1, and nobody's talking about it.
I know, isn't that crazy? Like, I understand the Vikings weren't the hot topic this offseason. I understand there was some question marks. I know we had major questions on the Vikings. How good were they going to be on defense? We saw some holes on that side of the ball. And then you look at Kirk Cousins in that offense. Kirk Cousins tends to struggle. We've seen it before. So didn't have too much praise for them in the offseason, but now you look at them now, 5-1. The defense, to me, is the big change of that team. That they have been playing at a higher level than I thought they were capable of, and they've been keeping their offense, kind of on the field more often, and that's really kind of given more chances for that team to score points and help them win games. So, despite Kirk Cousins' mistakes here and there that he does have, we already know kind of what Kirk is. Sometimes you're going to see games where he throws for over 300 yards and has 4 touchdowns and 1 pick. And then there's other games you're going to see he throws for under 200 yards and has thrown 2 picks. You know what I mean? So we're going to have those games with him, but they're able to sustain continuity with the players that they have, and the uptick that the defense has shown. It's hard to debate. I mean, honestly, when Kirk is struggling, the defense picks it up on their end and gives the ball right back to them, give them another shot. And it's working out really well for them. Do I think that Kirk Cousins is going to be the future of the Vikings? No. But I think what it is showing is that how resilient this team is, and they're able to stack wins right now. They're 5-1. I didn't think they were going to be terrible this season, but I didn't expect them to be able to be better, honestly, be better than the Packers. I think even with Devontae Adams leaving Green Bay, I thought they still were going to be a tough team to beat. And the Vikings, they're steering the ship right now, and they could be leading this division and winning this division by the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing.
They're for real. They're for real, but they're only for real because Kirk Cousins sometimes make good plays.
Well, yeah, I mean, and if you look at their schedule, though, I mean, it's pretty good for them right now with the way some of these teams have been playing. Because if you move forward now, you've got a bye week, then the Cardinals, then the Commanders. You got the Buffalo Bills and Dallas Cowboys back to back, so that would be tough for them. The Patriots, the way they're playing, though, too, they could be on this list, too, because I'm not sure what the hell is going on with them either, too, because now you're seeing, again, from the ashes, the third in the depth chart quarterback coming out of here, Zappe, being a star here for this team and bringing them to life. Isn't it amazing?
He's the same quarterback as Mac Jones. That's really what they draft,
and they're
specific quarterbacks.
Well, and they're getting it done. And and after that, it's the Bears. Then you've got the Packers, then the Lions again. So
yeah, they could win a lot of games.
That's the thing. You got to play the Bears at the end of the season again because they got the bad part of the division. Yeah. So again, these are some wins here, 4 or 5 more. They're looking at
Possibly.
easily
We don't
10,
know what can
11
happen.
wins right now. But again, with this division stays the way it is, that's easily enough to take the division. We've
Yeah.
seen poor divisions or close divisions like the Giants division, the NFC East, win with a 7-9 record, take the division championship.
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate equalizer, though, too, is how healthy can this team stay? You know, because we already know Dalvin Cook isn't the healthiest running
Right.
back. You know, if they were to lose him, that would be a big deal for the running game. And what's to say, you know, Kirk Cousins, you know, what if something happens to him? And now that completely just derails your offense, unless for some reason you have a quarterback in your pocket that's going to just kind of, as a backup, come in and I can picture him in my mind. But one time there was a backup quarterback for the Vikings. Kirk Cousins did get hurt, and he came in, and they were still winning games. Chase, oh man, I forgot what his name was.
It wasn't Case Keenum, right?
Case Keenum, yeah, Case Keenum.
Yeah.
Case Keenum. Like, who knows if they got a guy like that maybe that no one even knows, and he comes in and balls out. But, you know, whatever.
Yeah, you know, whatever. Yeah, exactly. Vikings, again, sneakily up there. One of those teams, again, I think is for real out there, you know, but, again, nobody's talking about them, so they're kind of under radar team.
For sure.
And finally, I'm just going to say this team here, too, you brought them up right in the beginning of the show, so I thought you were going to go right into this even segment here, right, and blow it, because you had a great segue right into it.
I just
you
can't
almost
do that.
did, just like
It's
that.
not part
I know,
of the
but it was
program.
great. You did a really good job at it.
we're gonna-
But there you go. It's the Tennessee Titans again,
Yeah.
the team that lost to the Giants first off, right there, and that's where we saw a piece of what the Giants possibly could do, and everybody was shocked. You were able to keep Derrick Henry at bay, and then even they kept going and keeping other good running backs at bay. But the Titans, you're looking at them and you're like, oh, all right. See, this is why, you know, this is the effects of not having A.J. Brown. This is what's going on. They can't do it. Ryan Tannehill, you know, he's there. Doesn't look very good. They get blown out by Buffalo to where you put Malik Willis
Is that
into.
surprising, though?
They just, you know, conceded. They're like, all right, let's put all the backups in there. Everybody sit down. Let's see what we got. And then Buffalo's like, all right, fine. We'll do that too. Let's make it a preseason game. You know?
Is that really surprising, though? The Buffalo Bills, you know, they were like the favorite to go right back to the playoffs, probably win the division.
Right.
I mean,
but even again, you know, for me, one of my earliest predictions again is that you'd see these guys scale down a little bit, because I thought maybe it was the Colts' time now that they had, you know, Matt Ryan, and this is
I think a lot of
finally
people thought
when
that.
it changed hands.
Right.
And you were kind of seeing it on the field, maybe it looked like. But then I think, again, that Mike Vrabel tree, the coaching, getting them together, get everybody's stuff together, and start saying, hey, let's run our game the way we do it. Let's do what we do. And then they started doing it. And what you said, despite some of the issues, though, you were seeing Justin Simmons, you know, last year, like you said, making big plays here. The defense, too. They were lacking in some of that. So despite the early losses in the turmoil, come back now, and they're even right now in 500. But still, with this division the way it is, with the Colts and then the Jags tailing off, everybody, it's in turmoil. They've seemed like they're maybe the real deal again, getting back to it.
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. Tennessee, we bought in on the hype before the season started. We're like, well, their defense was really good last year, and Derrick Henry runs through people like, you know.
He's just a whole nother animal. You see his workouts with the chains and everything, and you're just like, oh my goodness,
he's just
look
amazing,
at this guy, man.
Amazing athlete, and you think about it, like, they're gonna do it again, right? Like, they're gonna be successful again. Don't know how successful, because they lost a couple of pieces, but they're gonna be okay. Now we're into week 7. Not everything is okay in Tennessee. There's a lot of, you know, confusion. There's some speculation. Why, you know, A.J. Brown wanted a new deal. It sounds like they didn't want to pay him, so they ended up trading him away, which could have been one of the worst decisions for Tennessee, that they did draft Treylon Burks to kind of replace him. But he's a rookie, and he's showing flashes of being good, but you're on a team that predominantly runs the football. If you're a receiver, Tennessee is one of those offenses where you die. You know what I mean? Robert Woods signed with Tennessee, you know what I mean, in hopes of kind of becoming that number one threat for them, and he's not even used half the time. So I'm a little confused. Treylon Burks also went down with an injury not too long ago, and it's kind of because this team is almost one-dimensional, it begs the question, like, are you running the ball way too much now to be successful? We all know Derrick Henry is an amazing athlete. We all know that the ball is going to go to him when you need to run the ball. But isn't it time to kind of open up the offense? Kind of make it more of a balanced offense. You could still run the ball, maybe 60-40 ratio, but shouldn't there be that threat of throwing the football with Ryan Tannehill? And I think that's the problem. I think because everybody has been able to study this offense to this point where everybody kind of has that same idea. Not everybody can do it, but if you have a good enough defense where let's concentrate on Derrick Henry. If we can shut down Derrick Henry, this offense, it doesn't do much. And that's what's been working for some of these better defenses. If they've been able to lock him up, like the Giants locked up Derrick Henry, their offense was kaput. It was nothing. There was no threat. So, and then defensively, they scaled back a little bit. It's confusing. Like, I don't know if it's because they're on the field too much, maybe, and they get tired. Because this was once was a very good defense, is not so good now. So, because of all this going down, because I've kind of hopped off the train now. I can't trust this team. I still think they're a well-run team, well-coached, but they're missing elements on this offense, which I feel like is holding this team back. So, for me, they're no longer for real.
There you go. Yeah, and I'm kind of on board with you, too, as well. Again, some of the wins that they have had has been to not really great talent. And what we're going to see now, this coming week 7, is a face-off between the two teams we're talking about, and that maybe would be able to take this division, and it's the Indianapolis Colts. So,
or we'll still be confused after this one.
Yeah. Watch it be another tie now somehow. Here we go. They're going to tie again. We're like, oh, we don't know who's better. I guess they're both the same, So it's going to be tough here. So this is where the fight for the division has got to be between these two teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is the game to watch for this division this coming week, and see where that leads us. But again, for real, I'm with Joe too as well, and just can't have them be for real here on this one just yet. Although again, I really like their coaching, what they're doing. I think just another
Mike
off
Vrabel's
season
really
here,
good.
they can maybe retool some things and get things going because Ryan Tannehill, you're getting further along too. You got Malik Willis. The future could be pretty bright for this kid, and
I love Willis.
What they do.
You know that I was like freaking in love with this kid
absolutely.
Coming out of the draft. I thought he was, in my eyes, he was the best quarterback to grab. And we've seen flashes of his mobility and how well he could move the ball with his legs, but also he has a cannon for an arm. And he made some great throws when he got that limited time on the football field. I think they're in good hands with that part. However, the other caveat of all this is I have to go back to the offense. Don't they have to open up this offense and not be so close-minded to throwing the ball a little bit more, because teams are just keying on Derrick Henry. If they're able to stop him, your offense is almost dead in the water. So I think Mike Vrabel might have to go up to his offensive coordinator, and I don't know. I don't even know if they haven't had a bye week yet, correct?
Right.
I think
they just had it. They just had it.
Oh, they
Week
just
6.
had it.
Yes.
So that would have been who knows? Maybe we'll see this week then. Maybe in the bye week, maybe they were talking and they're saying, hey, you know what? Everyone's keen on Derrick Henry. We got to throw some wrinkles in this offense. We got to throw maybe a little bit more often than we want to kind of open this offense up and then give the ball to Henry. So let's see if they go to that thought this week.
Absolutely. So again, I just want to thank you guys for joining us tonight and listening to us on the podcast.
Yes,
wherever
sir.
you get all your podcasts at Google, Apple Music, Spotify, absolutely. So thank you so much. And also, if you haven't yet, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit the notification bell, let you know whenever we go live, and follow us on Facebook too as well, and Twitter, FB_no. Joe always posts a lot of cool news and stories.
Nobody cares about Twitter.
About Twitter too.
I'm pretty sure that
there's a lot
no
of
one
cool
cares.
stories though that Joe shares, especially
I know.
on our Facebook group. So join our Facebook group, become a know-it-all part of the know-it-all family.
I do my best over there on Twitter land.
You do a great
and
job.
and it's just no one cares. I just think my feelings are hurt.
And I'm going to tell you now. I really am going to tell you about a family that we are partnered
you telling?
with. It's Mohawk Honda. That's right. They're on Freeman's Bridge Road. It's fall time.
Another
Joe, that's
Freeman's
right.
Bridge
it's
Road
Freeman's
company.
Bridge Road Company. It seems they just love us. They flock to us here in Freeman's Road. They just says they should just rename Freeman's Bridge Road to Football on the No Show Road. How about that? Maybe
How
we
about
can
know
go
it
to
all,
talk
Ev?
to. Maybe I got to talk to the guys here. Maybe they go to City
The
Hall
city, yeah.
in Glenville.
Yeah, we
and
do.
maybe we should have that happen.
That's it. It's got to
Dedicated
happen.
to us. That's a good idea. I just thought of that. There you go. But anyways, it's fall. It's just about winter, man. It's getting there. It's starting to get cold a little bit here in the mornings.
Yeah, a little bit.
Here, it's
A little
sometimes
chilly.
been some nice days, but you can see it. There's pumpkin spice everywhere, and people want to puke to death. You got Christmas trees in Lowe's and Home Depot and stuff like that. Trying to rush the seasons, but it is happening. Everybody sees it, but it is selling season and buying season here also at Mohawk Honda. You can sell your vehicle sometimes for more than it's worth. They still are doing the Kelley Blue Book instant cash offer. They will buy your car. In some case, again, give you more than what somebody else will give it to you, what you bought it for even.
I like it.
The
I
number
like it.
one volume dealer in the Capital Region, that's right, General Manager Greg Johnson and his team of sales consultants.
What's up, Greg?
Are always available to help you in the buying process. Just like we said, go talk to the designers there at PPK. Go talk to some of the employees there, too, at Mohawk Honda. If not, you just say, hey, I want to talk to General Manager. Get Greg Johnson over here right now.
That's right.
And he'll greet you with a smile and maybe a coffee, a muffin, whatever you want. And he'll get you in the right position where you need to be. And don't forget, Scott Moynihan's back there, too, as well with his 30 years of experience, too. So say hi to Scott. Kind of looks like Jeffrey Dahmer, but here we go. Yes, the season's changed, but nothing changes more than your opportunities here at Mohawk Honda. So Freeman's Bridge Road in Scotia, Glenville, Mohawk Honda, where they go out of their way to please you, Joe.
I just got one question. Is
Yes.
how many shows would we have to do in order to get a Corvette from them?
I don't know.
Because
You got to sit in one.
I
which
got
was
to
cool.
sit in that new Corvette. That
I
thing
got to
is
feel the rumble strip.
is an amazing machine. It's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, absolutely, too. And if you guys do go to Mohawk Honda, tell them that we sent you. And,
That's right. Let 'em know.
That gives us a little incentive, too.
Let them
Absolutely.
know you want to take a test drive. in
We'll
the
have to
vet.
do we'll have to do a live show there. We did one at Mohawk Chevrolet. We got to take over
Did.
Mohawk Honda now.
That's
So,
it. Take it over.
Let's do it. Greg Johnson, make it happen. So here we go. It's week
Thanks, you guys.
7, Joe. The picks competition
boy.
is hot and heavy here.
Hot and heavy. Let me tell you.
And we
look
are
at this.
tied. We are tied.
Oh
Here
my
we go.
God.
Man.
I thought I did terrible this week too.
Yeah, no, you did better than I do. So what does that say about what I did then, man? I mean, that's actually really shitty.
You know that, I like to be kind
Yeah.
of like a perfectionist. I want to be, 17-0 every week.
Oh,
but
I know.
it doesn't happen.
No.
So I'm still
This
striving
year's
for
been
that
weird.
one week to where I can accomplish that. And then when that happens, I'm retiring from picking.
Yeah, there you go.
So there you go.
Maybe it depends, but
A
we
long
still
career.
we do the competition here, and it is again. I gotta get the glass out here. The cup. It's a
Yes.
football shaped, almost the size of
Football-shaped
that,
mug.
full of liquor. At the end of the season, the loser has to drink it.
It's rough, let me
And
tell you.
It is. I got to do it last year, and it was.
Although
intense.
I feel like a lot of our know-it-alls get a kick out of it.
They do.
You know what I mean?
It's probably a
they
fun
said
show.
they're like, oh, it's the highlight show of the season because
There you go.
one of you guys get plastered and you don't really make much sense when
Yeah.
you talk about football.
Yeah, I usually just don't make so much sense, and I'm not plastered. So there you go. So, but here we go. The competition's going. It's week 7 picks here, Joe. Let's
Yes,
get
sir.
right into it. Tomorrow night, we're not going to do our picks right now for that one. We're going to weed that into for tomorrow because we're going to just bring it out there again one more time.
That's it.
Tomorrow
Let's go.
night,
We
Joe,
will be
tell 'em.
live on location in Latham, New York at Saki Japanese Steakhouse. Make sure you guys head over there. Listen, come over, stop by, say hi, and enjoy some great specials. There's $5 selected apps there, plenty to choose from. $2. That's right, $2 Sapporo drafts. Make sure you get that up if you like beer. The place to be is tomorrow night. And it's not just for the specials. It's not just for the specials, but also you get to see us there. We can hang out. We'll talk some football. Hang out. Maybe we'll do some shots afterwards, after our show or whatever.
Maybe during,
And
drink some sake. Do
yeah,
some sake shots. Sake
do
bombs.
some sake bombs. Also, we are having a jersey giveaway. That's right, a jersey giveaway at halftime is when the winner will be announced. You have to do a couple of things for us in order to enter. You have to subscribe to us on YouTube. Show us proof that you did. Write your name, drop it in the box, and then at halftime we will announce the winner. And you have to be present. That I can't stress that enough. If you're not there, no, we're not going to call you. We're not going to text you or anything to let you know you won. You got to be present. So at halftime we'll announce the winner. The winner will get to pick whether they want the Saints jersey or the Cardinals jersey.
Ooh, decisions, Joe. Yeah, who knows? Will we have Cardinal fans there? Will we have Saints fans there? Like, what's the ratio going to be?
We're going to have a Saints
all around.
A Saints special guest. One of the guys that cover the team, Lawrence Elliott, will be one of our special guests on the show, and he'll be talking about leading up to the game about his team, the Saints. Maybe if we can get a Cardinals fan out there, we'll have you on as well.
Hey, No Donnie can come out there and check us out, right? Yeah,
get the flight right now. Get the flight, fly out to New York right now, so then we can have you on the show.
Absolutely. All right, so now we're going to get into the actual picks here. So now we are. I know everybody's anticipating it right now. Can't wait. Just get to the pick already, man.
500 versus 500.
Yeah, like, whoa, I can't wait to see what you do now. You're winning ways. All right, the Atlanta Falcons, one of the teams we talked about who, again, starting to bounce back here. And now the Cincinnati Bengals here at home, Joe. Cincinnati really trying to get that mojo back that they had last year. Again, losing a little bit this season, but now they're kind of becoming that full team again. The bonding between these guys. You saw Joe Burrow go into the house where they won their championship. He wore his LSU jersey into the stadium and everything. So you're sharing that with Jamar Chase and everything. So super exciting there. Cincinnati, they're at home. They play better right there in the jungle too. Atlanta, I think they're going to give them a go for this one, but I really like Cincinnati's chances here at home.
I mean, this is one of those games. And listen, we talked about Atlanta and how competitive they've been and how they've been in games, even against Tampa Bay. Despite that terrible call against Grady Jarrett, the Atlanta Falcons would have had a last-ditch effort to drive down the field and win the game. But because of that call, they never got that opportunity. They were within a score against Tampa, who nobody gave them a shot to beat. So now going into Cincinnati, this is still a big test for them. Again, can they pull it off? I'm not so sure. I like what Atlanta has been doing offensively and defensively. How can you not? But the Bengals, it looks like to me that the Bengals are starting to get back on track. And this is kind of what we expressed before. A couple weeks ago, we talked about the Bengals and their struggles and what's going on there. We referred to the preseason on how Joe Burrow didn't really get snaps on preseason games, and a lot of those starters didn't. And then here comes week one, and it's like, what's wrong with this offense? Why aren't they being able to score points and move the ball? Why are they struggling? Well, it might have stemmed from not getting reps in live action, and that's probably the reason. Now we're into week 7. We're starting to see remnants of that Bengals offense that once was. And Cincinnati at home, very tough place to play, mind you. Atlanta's going to have to go in there. They're going to try to sneak a win out, but I, too, have to agree. I think the Bengals are also going to get another W here.
All right, here we go. The Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys here, Joe. It's funny now.
Jesus.
This is kind of funny for me. Okay. I don't know, because being a Giants fan, and I look at this from the outside looking in here at a divisional rival with opinions about this team. And finally, the Cooper Rush train is over, Joe. It's derailed.
Yep, it's all done.
He finally loses. So
Dak
now
is coming back.
Everybody's giving hope. But it's funny how he's been taking reps and he's been throwing, and things have been kind of good, but I still won't play. But you want to play now against the Detroit Lions, who are 1-5 right now, or 1-4, not playing very well. So making it an easy win for you, maybe now, Dak. Were you afraid to play some of the other guys? The competition. Come on, bro, because it's easy for the other guy to lose against tougher competition. Cooper Rush would be like, oh, he lost.
Right
now it's time for me to come back. You know what I'm saying? And look, here you go. Now you're back here, the Detroit Lions. It's tough to play, even though we like what Detroit's been doing, and they play tough. But it's tough to do right there in Dallas here with the big screen and everything, the way Dallas fans are. But Dak Prescott coming back here against the tough Detroit Lions team. I think this is the right opportunity for them. They've been getting things going, even with their other tight end that they got there too. Missing Dalton Schultz, having that guy in there, they've been able to connect with him and making things happen. And running the ball, they've established the run again, Joe. Really, Tony Pollard, and even Zeke was making some plays here. And it's kind of funny too, isn't it? Funny how I don't know if Zeke has just been humbled or not, but since like a couple years now, it seems he's been really quiet. He's got the visor down too, so you don't see his eyes or his face. He's not getting out there in the, he just runs the ball, goes back to the line, does his thing. Sometimes tries to.
He still does
eat,
the feed me thing,
but you know what I mean. But he's very quiet now. It does seem like, I don't know if he's humbled or not. Who else better to humble you, though, than watch Tony Pollard out there make these explosive plays, and you're kind of the afterthought after this, all right?
Well, I mean, the one thing that I'll say about Zeke is you might be onto something being humbled, because he's not as you don't see that arrogance that he once had, where he was like, all me, I'm everything. You know what I mean? That's that's the kind of persona he presented. Personally, now I think with the stuff that he's also gone through off the field, it's kind of, in the fact that he's gotten older and more mature, I think it's all kind of come together for him, and now he's taking it as it is. Like, he's like, listen, I'm not going to be, the jerk, anymore off the field. I'm not going to be that type of guy. I'm going to, rein it in. I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to be a better player for it, and just do my job. So, yeah, you'd have to say that about him, is that Zeke, it looks like Zeke is more focused also, you would have to say, because of it. It seems like he's willing to take on any role that the Cowboys give him, and he's cool with it. I mean, well, how could you not be getting paid the money you are?
Exactly.
But not to mention, it's a nice 1-2 punch that the Cowboys have. Tony Pollard is now getting more playing time. He's making some explosive plays. At the same time, when Zeke comes in, now you got to deal with Zeke and how physical of a runner he is, and try to bring him down too. So they got a nice 1-2 punch there. The Cowboys' offensive line is still kind of figuring things out. So, with Dak being back there, we got to see a bigger step forward with this offense. Because now, with Dak being healthy once again, taking over this offense with the running game, now you also getting back Michael Gallup came back last week, in a disappointing loss for the Cowboys. You're getting Gallup. You got CeeDee Lamb now. He's got his weapons back. So let's see what Dak can do now with this healthy, besides the offensive line, this healthy, crew of weapons for them.
And with
defensively, I got to say, I'm kind of impressed with the D tackles of the Cowboys. Before the season started, I was like, I don't really know too much about these guys playing D tackle. I don't really buy into who they have. But, man, they have really kind of developed and performed extremely well to the point where they are getting noticed every single week. Not only are they good there, but also you look at when they bring Micah Parsons down to rush off the edge or at the end opposite Lawrence, it's creating tremendous havoc. Like we alluded to before the season. We're like, listen, the D coordinator, you gotta put this guy on the edge. You gotta put Parsons as a D end. It's gonna really kind of create this like hysteria in the backfield almost every snap, and every time. I mean, I'll say this, that Micah Parsons is better than Lawrence right now. Micah Parsons is really balling out. Even with double teams, he's still able to apply that pressure, and that just helps out the back end. You know what I mean? Kyle Vander Esch is still, he's staying healthy for once. That's got to be good. That's got to be good, right? And on top of that, Trayvon Diggs is going to take his shots and what have you to get turnovers. But I will say, I'm pleasantly surprised with the front seven of the Cowboys defense. And Detroit, I love Detroit. I've been rooting for them ever since, but it seems like they're still like on the cusp, right? From last year, like they were competitive, they were in games. They're still they're kind of the same team, but we know how weak they are on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that's really what's hurting them. Their offense is rated as one of the number 1 or number 2 now total offense in the league. That's impressive for a team that was just starting to get on the rise. The one good thing is that they are going to it looks like they're going to get back DeAndre Swift again. It looks like they're going to get back Amon-Ra St. Brown. So they're getting a couple players back. But as of today, they have 8 guys that did not practice that are all contributors to this team. So because of the laundry list of injuries, I would give Detroit a shot to win this game if they had a healthy team. But they're limping in against Dallas in Big D to take on a very healthy Cowboys team. So I'm going to go with Dallas.
All right, man. It seemed like we overanalyzed that game, but whatever.
Had to break it down, bro.
You do, but
Have
and
to.
like I said, when you got to give credit where credit's due, what I hate to with the Cowboys, you do, because even when you talk about when you got the double teams, and you got Micah Parsons being available, you got DeMarcus Lawrence right there.
Mm-hmm.
Dorrance Armstrong Jr. has been sneakily in there, 25-year-old young guy.
Yeah, the D tackle.
Getting places, too. Like you said, you enjoy the tackles and what they've been able to do.
I'll tell you right now, I hope he's a free
doing
agent at the end of the year because I want him.
there you go. All right, so next, there's the game we're talking about here between in the division rivals here. The Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans get to square off here.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go.
In Tennessee. So do they have the home field advantage here? They're well rested now. Do they have the shot here against the Indianapolis Colts to where the Colts were on the ropes a little bit last week, too, but able to edge them out in the end?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tricky game. What team can we expect, to be honest? This is going to be a critical game. This is also a game that's going to be about injuries, about who's a healthier team, who's going to perform well. Yeah. We talked about Tennessee, about how their offense is struggling, about if they can't get Derrick Henry going. I don't know if they can even have an offense. So maybe they change some things up, like we alluded to, but also like the defense hasn't been letting up a lot of offensive plays as well. The Colts, they've been struggling too. Like they don't have Jonathan Taylor like fully healthy just yet. It looks like they're still trying to figure things out offensively. I mean, with Michael Pittman being the sole guy, like the go-to guy. But after him, you're relying on rookies like Alec Pierce to kind of take a bigger step forward, and he's getting better. But man, I really don't know with this one, to be honest. I think in Tennessee, because it's home, because Tennessee's home or whatever. Jeez, I don't know.
It's tough, right? I mean, this is a tough one. But Tennessee, I'd say with the rest, maybe too. Derrick Henry getting it done if they're healthier. You know what? I'll go with. This is a tough.
Hold
one.
on. Before you pick, let me give you the injury report right here.
Yeah, right here.
So 5 players were sidelined opening practice of this week. 2 were missing due to injury. Kiki Cutie, who cares? Kwity Paye, which is a big one. He's got an ankle. Other than that, and Jonathan Taylor's the other big one. Were limited. So limited means that they're going to play. They're projected to play. So they're getting those guys back. For Tennessee, they were missing Zach Cunningham, and for one of their big players, Bud Dupree was a full participant. So the Titans are getting back one of their big pass rushers. So I would say
we could see
it
both
looks
these
like
teams at their best strength they've been this season.
Yes, I would say that both of them are pretty healthy, if not fully healthy, with what the starters are going to be on for both teams. So this could actually be the first time we've seen both teams be there's no clear advantage in terms of injuries. So, man, this is a tough one.
I think I'm just going to go with the Colts here, too, because I picked them again to beat these guys in the division. And if they're fully healthy, the best they are, again, with this defense has been playing of the Tennessee Titans, I think the Colts can edge them out.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, too, is like now that I think about it, like you look at how the Colts defense is called. Like, they are a bend but don't break type of defense. They play a lot of zone, and that leaves them vulnerable to the passing game. But what does Tennessee not do? Pass the ball.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this is kind of like a perfect matchup for the Colts, you know, in terms of making an effort, shut Derrick Henry down, and then Ryan Tannehill, you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to pull it out. So I don't have a lot of faith in either team, but I think I'm going to go with the Colts as well. I feel like because of that scenario, it's going to be predicated, obviously, on Henry and how well they can move the ball.
Absolutely. Next up, we've got the Green Bay Packers and the Washington Commanders. Commanders now with Taylor Heineke at the helm.
Oh, here we go,
Watch
everybody.
out, Aaron Rodgers, because here they come. Here you got Heineke coming at you now. You've had these guys, these top quarterbacks coming at you, Daniel Jones and Zach Wilson, and now you've got Taylor Heineke coming at your ass here. You better watch out. You're in trouble now. You know, but the Crackers, I can't believe they got embarrassed at Lambeau like they did last week.
Oh, my God.
And you saw the difference even. See, when we talked about the Jets and we talked about the Giants earlier on.
Yeah.
You see the difference when you get pressure. We talked about finally Bakhtiari getting back to that offensive line and helping them out, but look at what Aaron Rodgers looked with that pressure when he felt like he had no time. He was like, boom, coming out, and he's like, boom, just kind of launched it up there, and whatever he could, Hail Mary, whatever he can get, and it led to even mistakes or even getting sacked. That one hit he had that drug him down hard. I was like, oh my gosh, like he kind of tripped down or something, like took his legs out. I was like, oh, dude. I guess it couldn't be roughing the passer, but I mean, from seeing it quick, I was like, holy man, that looked like it hurt. But getting the pressure and some of the best quarterbacks don't look so hot, and the team can change just like that when you apply that pressure, and that's what the Giants and Jets have been able to do. But Washington, I don't know, they haven't been able to do it yet this season really very well. And even though they do play better at home, I still see Green Bay kind of right the ship here, and they have to, in desperation, get this thing together. And it's a great opportunity to do it against a reeling Washington Commanders team who knows, again, like you said, the team and even the fans could be turning on Ron Rivera pretty soon.
It's very possible. And the other thing, too, to mention, too, is, Elton Jenkins and David Bakhtiari, both banged up from last week. They look like they're going to be able to return. They've been practicing limited as of today. So some positivity for the Packers coming into this matchup. Washington, this is interesting because Taylor this week is going to get, full go of all the starting reps, which is going to play a big part of this. We already know that he has some familiarity with some of the players, and the team will buy into him. It's not like, people are like, oh, well, great, we got our backup, so we don't really stand much of a chance. I think there's going to be big optimism here. This could be the spark that Washington needs to kind of get back on track and get back into this race for this division. They got a lot of work ahead of them for sure, because Wentz, likes to keep his teams at the bottom. But none to say the least, this is also the Packers' chance to kind of, hey, listen, we screwed up last week. We got to come back. We got to get a W. We got to stay in this divisional race as well. I just don't know if I can buy into either one of these teams, to be honest. But I do like what Taylor offers. Green Bay's offensive line, I kind of like them a little bit better. I think Washington still is a little banged up on offensive line. So I, too, am going to go with the Packers.
All right, here we go. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Carolina Panthers. Again, Carolina Panthers reeling right now. A lot of turmoil going on with them. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady scolding the team and things like that. But they still have – the funny thing is the personnel that they have still on this team, and the defense, the players in the defense, their offensive weapons are healthy. They're there. I mean, like, what's going on here with these guys? Shows you actually, again, too, when you build a team, build it from the interior out, because that Tom Brady, the thing is, he's always had a good offensive line throughout his career, which has made him who he is. I thought that was a big thing of what made him who he is. You put Tom Brady on a terrible team that had terrible offensive lines over and over again, like the New York Giants for years, and maybe he's not Tom Brady, Mr. 6-7 rings, you know what I mean? The ring master. So here we go here. It's been tough for them. Carolina, they're kind of reeling right now. They're not looking so hot, but Tampa Bay is approachable and beatable right now. But I still think Tampa Bay, again, is going to take this opportunity, trying to be a rival, a division rival, if you want to call it that, and take it to them and get back on their winning ways.
Yeah, I'm just going to say one thing. P.J. Walker.
Yeah.
P.J. Walker is the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers this week. Sam Darnold still hasn't been able to return. It looks like, Baker Mayfield is done in Carolina. They're kind of over with that whole experiment. And because that they're going up against a better team and a team that's coming back pretty healthy, it looks like they might get back Julio Jones, Shaq Mason to return to the lineup, Cameron Brate, like all these guys that were banged up once before are now coming back, and especially like you mentioned, the defense. Guys that were practicing, Carlton Davis, Sean Murphy-Bunting, the corners, the starting corners that they have. So they're all looks like they're going to be trending towards returning. And for Carolina, I'm sorry, with P.J. Walker at the helm, like I get it. You're hoping that he can do enough just to keep this team afloat. But going up against a team that is now healthier, but also was a favorite to win their division and a favorite to come back and maybe make the playoffs, I got the Buccaneers in this one.
All right, here we go. The New York Giants and the Jacksonville Jaguars, Joe. I have been truly sticking by my word since that Dallas Cowboys game, too. Again, and picking against the Giants, and they have continued to win every time I pick against them. So I am torn in this matchup on what to do. So I'm going to have you go through and go do
they
your
did
picks
lose
first,
one
though.
game.
They did. Well, but I picked them to win that game.
Did you?
Yeah, I picked them to win against the Cowboys because I was feeling it from that live show that we were doing there at the 6:05.
You go sounds all jacked up.
I was. There were Giants fans everywhere. It was a great atmosphere. We had a lot of fun. And I was like, hell with it. Let's go with it. And I ruined it. And I ruined the Giants in that game. And I was like, that's why they lost. So then I've been picking against them ever since just to keep it going. And now you got the Jacksonville Jaguars here. So what do I do?
We talked about a little bit of a letdown. You know what I mean? We talked about this could be that week. It could be a trap game for the Giants. You know, maybe they might be overlooking the Jaguars. Maybe they're not. But I'll say this. I love what the Giants have been able to do thus far. This is actually, honestly, a bigger test for Jacksonville. You know what I mean? Can they win against a good football team right now in the Giants?
It's red hot right now.
You know what I mean? They're red hot. They're storming through teams that people didn't think they would. They beat the Packers. They beat the Ravens. Now they're coming to your Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium. Can you pull it off? Can you get the win here? I'm going to go with Jacksonville because they're home. But I do honestly think that both these teams are kind of evenly, in terms of matchups, they're kind of even keel across the board.
Yeah, they are. And this is a tough one for me. Again, to say, do I pick against them to keep them winning, or do I think they really, truly can beat these guys straight up? I think they can, but do I pick against them? Oh, that's tough. Am I superstitious enough? You've
been superstitious all the way through.
I know.
Except for the one time.
Except for the one time, and see what happened. So, you know what? I guess I stick with it. I'm going to pick against the Giants again just to keep it going.
You
and
win
see if
either
my
way.
Superstitions are right. Yes. Here we go. I'm going with you, and I don't lose one on you then because we picked the same. Here we go. The Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. Browns, again, just haven't been able to keep the ship going again. You're trusting your backup quarterback to try and get you some wins while your guy's away. Unfortunately, again, for Deshaun Watson, it's long and, even maybe longer after everything that goes on after this whole thing. But, you needed something to do like what Cooper Rush has been doing for the Cowboys. And it hasn't really worked out for you guys. So you go into Baltimore. Baltimore got embarrassed. Usually after something like that happens to them and John Harbaugh's team, they come fighting back the next week and pound the crap out of you. This is going to be a tough divisional rival between these two teams. But Baltimore being at home again and trying to right the ship after that embarrassment of just giving that up there, I think they're going to do it. And I like the Baltimore Ravens in this one.
This is one of those divisional rivalries type games. It's going to be like back and forth. It's going to be close. I feel like it's only going to be the winner's going to win by just one score. I mean, whether that be a touchdown or a field goal, it remains to be seen. But, on the injury report, Myles Garrett had a shoulder and bicep injury, and he's kind of been dealing with that. He missed practice today. Jadeveon Clowney is another guy who's kind of like a big contributor on that defense. They have quite the few guys that are taking rest days today. Like, they're all trying to heal for this game because they know that this is going to be one of the more physical games that they're going to play in this week. Baltimore, on the other hand, it looks like they're getting back Rashad Bateman, who hasn't been around the last couple of weeks, to kind of add to that firepower that they have. Justin Houston looks like he's going to return. So pretty healthy, actually. Mark Andrews and J.K. Dobbins and Lamar Jackson even was banged up. They look like they were practice limited. So both teams look like they're trending towards having a very healthy team to play against each other in a very physical matchup. Just because Baltimore is home, I think I'm going to pick with the Ravens on this one, but I would not be surprised if it goes the other way.
What do you think about them going out and getting Deshaun Jackson?
I don't think it means anything.
Yeah, I know it doesn't mean a whole lot, but
it's
when
another.
You look at even some of the other wide receivers again that are out there in free agency and stuff like that too. I mean, to get like an aging Deshaun Jackson,
an aging Deshaun Jackson that can still run fast, can still take the roof off the top of a defense, that can stretch the field. Absolutely, you grab him.
All right, next to the New York Giants.
The guy can still run routes. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you can't even label him a has-been. He's 35 years old, but he can still play. Look at other guys like Julio Jones. Julio Jones honestly, I feel like he's lost a step in a sense. You know what I mean? I don't kind of see that with Deshaun Jackson. I saw him play with the Raiders last year, and they didn't really use him, but the one big play he had, the guy was 5 yards behind him. So, I mean, I think it's a good move, and you're not giving up a lot. You're giving minuscule money to the guy to come and maybe help your offense grow.
All right, next up we got the Denver Broncos and the New York Jets. The way the Broncos have been playing, again, I was looking at the divisions and seeing scores for and scores against.
Yeah.
The Broncos, I think, are just about at the bottom with 99 points for and 93 against. Like, it is pitiful, and that the fact that they're not in last place is ridiculous. It just happens to be the teams that they end up playing, again, just as bad as they are, and not being able to get it. And Russell Wilson just doesn't look like you're getting your money back on that return here. On this whole thing, what you invested,
right.
You're not getting a return on what you invested. But the Jets looking pretty good. So I think you're going to see a defensive battle the way the Jets have been playing here, though, too. But with Russell Wilson and his reading on the defenses here and not really pulling the trigger when he should on some of these and not seeing some of these opportunities that they've had, I think that there's going to be multiple turnovers here. And they have now the issue with Melvin Gordon. Now he's going to, after he's moping on the sidelines, they're like, all right, you're going to start this week now. Does that make you feel better? You stiffen up that upper lip there, buddy. So there he is there. But you know what? Denver at home, they play tough. But you know what? I might think I'm going for the Jets on this one. Jets, Jets, because I'm not impressed by Denver. And right now, the Jets look pretty damn good.
I don't know how you could be impressed with Denver because they are terrible offensively. And this is the kind of thing. Me and Jim both, before the season even got here, we know the hype train was real high. They're like, oh, well, a lot of people said they got Russell Wilson. They're going to take the division by storm. They're going to take the NFL by storm. They're going to prove a lot of people that, Russell Wilson can still play, and this team is going to go to new heights. Well, we didn't really jump aboard that train, and we kind of were against the grain in that aspect. We said, listen, that doesn't mean... Look at what your team was last year. You got basically the same team, and all you did was add Russell Wilson. So, and Russell Wilson, obviously with this new offense that he had to learn, it's not fitting him to a T. It doesn't look well. Even decision-making for Russell Wilson. Sometimes he looks confused, it looks like. He's throwing the ball where there's no receiver. It's very questionable. And despite Denver's efforts to kind of now going into week 7 to get better, they haven't. They still struggle on offense. Their defense is good, but their defense is on the football field just way too long. I feel like that's going to be a repeat this week. The Jets are on a roll at the moment. They're playing very stingy defense, and with that, it's going to give Zach Wilson...
the other Wilson. We get Wilson versus Wilson.
Wilson versus
week.
Wilson. It's like the law firm.
Yeah.
But Zach, on the other hand... He still has very lively legs that's going to move the chains at times when needed. And he's at times he might have to because newly acquired tackle Dwayne Brown is also doing very well with the Jets and kind of holding it down for them. And when a rush happens, I know there's this kid, I think his name is Brandon Browning or something, this pass rusher for the Broncos, has been lighting it up.
Yeah.
Very quick and fast off the edge. So maybe at times you're going to have to use those legs to get out of trouble. So, but I like what the Jets are doing. And the way Denver's playing right now, it's hard to pick them. So I'm going to go with the Jets, even though they're in Denver.
Yeah, there you go. Next, we've got the Houston Texans and the Las Vegas Raiders here. Again, on a week of rest here, coming back. Hopefully to try and get their winning ways here, come back. Even though they've been scoring points, they've been battling some of this tough competition early. Though
and the crazy thing about the Raiders is that they've only lost games from one score.
Right.
Every game they've played thus far, they've lost by one score.
Yeah, and they played teams like the Chargers, the Chiefs, things like that.
They're
really
divisional
tough,
opponents, yeah.
Tough opponents. And like I said, still putting up more points than what the Denver Broncos have been, and then they're sitting there in last place. And it's sad just because the games have been decided just by that small fraction. Houston, again, still learning, getting their footing here. I like what they're doing here, though, so far, but it's not enough. I think I like the Raiders here on a week's rest, coming through, getting their head together, and coming out of here with a victory here at home.
Yeah, Texans, I'll say this about them. This is a game where the Raiders should beat the Texans. But the Texans, like we talked about early on, this is a team that you shouldn't kind of overlook. You shouldn't just kind of say, oh, well, we should beat this team. We're going to beat this team. I really think that this is going to be a very close game because of the struggles that the Raiders have had learning this new offense. And the defense has looked confused at times. It's not. I don't think they're really all in terms of knowing their jobs offensively or defensively, and that's leading to a lot of these miscues on offense, or a player may be wide open for for miscommunication errors.
Yeah.
So I think this game is going to be decided by like a field goal, honestly. I don't think the Raiders kind of take it over type of thing, even though they played the Chiefs extremely tough. I think that the Raiders being home, I think that helps them. I'm going to go with the Raiders as well. But if the Raiders can't win games like this where you're expected to win, you have to win these games. And for you to come so close to the Chiefs, but then you can't lose to the Texans. So you're after a bye week. They're pretty strong after a bye week. So I'm expecting the Raiders to kind of handle business here.
Next up, we got the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers trying to get their footing week to week here. They're up and down, but they end up edging out a victory last week.
Jesus,
and a tough one.
Can we talk about how
the
coach for the Chargers still hasn't learned his lesson?
No. Yeah,
going for it
tough.
on fourth down on your own side of the field.
We were trying to say how many times he's going to do it, and again against Denver, who's terrible. I mean,
does it all the time.
Yeah,
you're gonna.
Brutal.
You might miss the playoffs yet again because of your decisions.
Yeah. I mean, it's horrible, and just happened to be that fluke type of thing happened when they were punting.
Oh,
and they blocked the guy into the receiver.
Mind you, which is illegal.
Yeah,
there should have been a flag on that play.
It looked funny too to me.
I'm surprised.
I was like, how is that? They're not going to look at that. Like, you're able to do that? I'm like, why don't people do that more often? Then
refs screwed up again. Everybody.
Multiple times in that game. But there you go. The Chargers here come out with a victory. Seattle's been playing pretty good this year at times,
Yeah, true.
And Kenneth Walker III looks pretty nice over there, even though you've had
my guy
there. Look, there he is, rocking and rolling. So again, Seattle with that strong running game. Geno Smith's trying not to make the mistakes, and try and keep it close for them, and to have guys like DK Metcalf out there too to toss to. I mean, it's got to be a pleasure there for Geno Smith too. But overall, again, Seattle's not at home. I like the Chargers here in this one, I guess. Even though, again, they don't have a home field advantage either.
Right.
But still, I think the Chargers, again, more complete team altogether. So even though the injuries on the offensive line are piling up for the Chargers.
So here, the one silver lining for the Chargers is, they've been without Keenan Allen. They're basically their go-to guy at receiver. Looks like he's going to come back. They're going to get some other guys come back. Corey Linsley was out last week, their center. So that offensive line will be in better shape, play call-wise. They're getting back a lot of guys that are healthy once again. So that is a good thing. The other thing to kind of keep an eye on, though, too, is the kicker. Dustin Hopkins got hurt last week. He could barely – I mean, kudos to him, man. He powered through. He was in a lot of pain and was able to kick that game-winning field goal. Good for him, man. Listen, the last two times he kicked a field goal, he was literally laying on the field at the end because he was in that much pain. So you got to watch that. I wonder how healthy he can be from pulling that right hamstring. They're the type of injury that takes a while and needs a lot of rest. So I'm not so sure he'll be ready to go, and that could play a big part in this game. For the Seattle Seahawks, Taylor Lockett dealing with a little bit of a hamstring injury as well, but also it looks like most of that team is going to be pretty healthy for this game. Quentin Jefferson, one of their starting D tackles who creates a lot of pressure, he's coming back with being healthy. But Seattle, I like what Seattle's got going on, to be honest with you. They're a pleasant surprise to me. I wrote off Seattle this year. I just thought that they were going to be bottom of the barrel in the division. They weren't going to really do much in terms of competition. They still got a long ways to go, but you got to like what you see from them. Chargers right now are struggling a little bit, and I like Seattle to kind of roll into L.A. and get an upset here.
All right, next we got the Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers. 49ers have been reeling the last couple of weeks here. I was shocked that they ended up losing last week. Kansas City, again, with a tight game here with the Buffalo Bills, but they were able to contend and just a few different turnovers here by pressuring Patrick Mahomes, and again trying to lock down Travis Kelce the best way you could was helped Buffalo, but also the depth that they have is just ridiculous. So whoever they had there, they were able to just fill in spots and able to have like a Matt Milano sitting back and look back at Patrick Mahomes and make sure he didn't roll out and get out of the pocket and make some of those plays. So you're not going to have that so much here, even though San Francisco's defense is really good. I think I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs here in this one.
The problem for the 49ers is last week they didn't really have a D-line. They were all out with injury. So that kind of played into the reason why the Niners weren't as successful on defense last week. It looked to continue that trend into this week. It looks like they may be without Eric Armstead again, possibly. It's still early in the week. Got to kind of keep an eye on that. Mike McGlinchey, their right tackle, he's also at risk of maybe not playing this week. And then there's other players like a Nick Bosa who still has a groin injury. Don't know how soon he can return with that. That being said, I feel like they might be without a couple of key players, and that kind of might lead to a bigger deficit that the Chiefs are going to put on them. Kansas City's been playing on all cylinders up to this point. They've been really been creative with their offense every single week, and it's been very daunting on the defensive side of the ball to try to stop them. So Kansas City, I think, continues their winning ways.
All right. Next up, we got the Sunday night game, and these Sunday night games have been pretty bad.
They're tricky.
But last week's was pretty good between Philadelphia and Dallas. That was a nice knock 'em out, drag out game here. But now we've got Pittsburgh and Miami now. Again, you do have Tua back here for Miami again, but still working out issues here for them. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, they had a concussion protocol of their own there with Kenny Pickett now. So do we see Mitch Trubisky there now against this team in Miami? This is going to be a tough one because these teams, I don't know what they expect out of them, again, with the injuries that they've had and things. But being Miami at home, I like what they do there at home. I think maybe this is a good opportunity for them to get some stuff here done. So I'm just going to roll with Miami on this one.
So the Dolphins are getting back Tua. Let's get that out of the way.
Yep.
He's healthy. He's been practicing. He's passed all the protocols and what have you. He will be the starting quarterback. That being said, you got to keep an eye on the Dolphins. Teron Armstead, their left tackle. Emmanuel Ogbah in his back. Looks like he might be able to play at D tackle. That'll be a big deal. And Christian Wilkins, another big-time D tackle for them. So those two guys, if they have them back in the lineup, and Teron Armstead, I feel like this team is not only the healthier team, but also a team that is going to look to get back to winning. Now that they get back Tua. On the Steelers side of the ball, Kenny Pickett practiced in full today. Still has to clear protocol, which I think is going to end up happening. So I feel like Pickett will be starting for the Steelers. I'm kind of projecting, and by the end of the season or by the end of the week, he'll be ready to go and he'll be in there. A few other key players like Cam Sutton, Ahkello Witherspoon, Minkah Fitzpatrick, all practice limited, so they will most likely definitely be ready to go for this matchup. So overall, if Pickett clears protocol, these are two teams getting back healthy and ready to go after each other Sunday night. So I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins to get back on track in this one.
All right, the last one here, Monday night, October 24th, 8:15. We've got the Chicago Bears going into New England. Now, they said that Mac Jones is they're pretty close to him being there. So
he'll be
whether
back.
Even it's a game time decision or not,
no.
They've been winning though. So I mean, I like what they were doing with Zappin. Now, I like what they were doing even with Mac Jones here. Seems like New England again has been able to just right the ship here and be just that type of team that goes after your weakness and they beat you on the ground or in the air to dink and dunk like they do. And it's in New England. It's tough to play there. And Chicago. Justin Fields just isn't very good right now. I mean, he could make some plays with his legs and stuff, but again, not many passing attempts. And when they do, he's just missing reads, missing guys. Just not very, consistent right now for them. So I can't trust Chicago. So I'm going to go with the New England Patriots.
The Patriots, they've kind of been they've been way better the last 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks, we kind of talked about this last week. Their defense looked in shambles, if you will. Like they looked, not as solid as you would normally typically see in a Patriots defense. Bill Belichick kind of righted the ship now. Last 3 weeks, this team has gotten not only better on defense, but also has gotten better on offense. Some people kind of point the finger and say, oh, well, Bailey Zappe is the savior. He's the reason why. I just think that it's because since they've been playing back together, they've been kind of figuring out this offense up to this point and how to call games because, mind you, we got a former defensive coordinator calling the plays for the Patriots. So I think there was a little bit of a learning curve there that it looks like they're starting to fix. Whether it be Mac Jones at quarterback or Bailey Zappe, I think that they're going to put on a good display Monday Night Football against Chicago. And this is a Chicago team that is playing yet another prime game that, wow, they looked terrible last week. A team that you saw flashes from Justin Fields and how he can use his legs to really take over games, but the decision making, the plays that were being called were absolutely atrocious. I don't know why they were trying to attack the deep field all the time when Justin Fields doesn't have a lot of time in terms of pass protection. Why weren't you attacking short to intermediate instead of just deep? Is beyond me. So I look for Chicago to, even though it's into week 7, I still think their offense is going to continue to struggle. Defensively has been their bright spot. Roquan Smith kind of delivering hits, and also he got blocked. Yes, Carson Wentz lit him up like a Christmas tree on a block. I'm sorry, Roquan. I had to mention it. Don't let that happen again. But the Bears' defense has been their strength. But until this offense catches up with how good the defense is playing, I still feel the team is going to struggle. I got New England.
All right, there you go. We've got Mike Tackett in the house with us tonight.
Oh, there he is.
He's able to catch us on his lunch break.
Where
I know
have
he
you
works
been?
Wednesday night, so it's tough for him to check us out now. So I'm sure
really?
he listens to us on the podcast or watches the videos later.
It's tough.
But there he goes. Happy Hump Day. It was his Russell Wilson, the biggest fraud this year. It's got to be so far, right? You would think.
Hey.
That's just.
I gotta say this. Or could we just say that Denver is the worst run organization this year?
Well, because
think about it. When you give a guy a huge contract, you just got him in. He hasn't proven that he fits the offense you're going to implement. He hasn't proven that he's going to take your offense to new heights. And you, before the season even starts, hey, here's a boatload of cash. Have at it. Yeah. So I gotta question the front office on this as well.
Well, what it is they couldn't get a quarterback, pick a quarterback right to groom to get to be that franchise quarterback. So they went and
they didn't give it a chance.
Well, they went and they got Peyton Manning. So then they try and
you're going way back.
Peyton Manning. Well, that's what I'm saying. They tried to do it again.
But that was a different regime.
After quarterback after quarterback. But still, John Elway was even there. That's
what I mean.
Yeah, I know. But you're seeing consistent, though, with the organization. You're talking about the organization being well run. Obviously, it's not, even with new ownership, but still, same kind of poor decisions. So what did they do? They told you in the offseason they were going to go and shop and buy a quarterback again. You were hearing mainly it was going to be Aaron Rodgers because you had Nathaniel Hackett there, and he's from the Green Bay Packers stuff. And then so they didn't win the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. So then they had the money. They were gonna. Well, I'm just saying they were gonna go and buy one. And so who next available there? Russell Wilson. Then you get the bucket of money. Here you go. So you're gonna get it. And it's failed miserably for them again.
Well, I mean, the thing is the decision to pay him before the season started when you didn't see results. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying is that's where the poor decision making was. He still had I think he had a couple years on his contract before the extension. And that kind of perplexes me, the kind of money that you're willing to just give for a guy that really hasn't done anything for your franchise yet. So Russell Wilson, you could say, is the fraud this year, but honestly, it's not like he made a contract demand before the season started. Denver was just like free and willing, like, here, let's do a huge extension. We're going to give you a boatload of money too on top of it, even though you're like 30 plus years old. You know what I mean? You're entering that kind of that term of life, much like Tom Brady is in, where you're getting closer to the end of your career. Mm-hmm. And for you to give this guy not only a huge extension, now think about that, all that guaranteed money, they're locked in. They have to pay him. Russell Wilson could retire next season, and they got to pay him all that guaranteed money. So that's kind of crazy to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, no offense to Mike Tackett, but I think conversation could be had not about player, but about the Green Bay Packers possibly being the fraud of the year so far altogether, because, again, a team that has been pretty dominant, in that division, especially Aaron Rodgers coming off an MVP season last year, just coming up short of the Super Bowl again, but looking to try and make it back there again and maybe get further, at least take the division, and they're getting beat by some of these teams that they should be handling if they're supposed to be one of the better teams in the NFC.
I would agree with you if Adams was
I'm
still
just
there.
saying it's debatable.
And
Well,
they didn't. But when you look at that team, there was a lot of questions before the season arose and say, well, who's the receivers? Nobody. And they were even talking in team practice about guys are dropping the ball, guys are running the wrong routes. So there was already chaos happening on the offensive side of the ball for them. So in no means were they seen as, well, they're going to be just fine without Adams. You know what I mean? There was question marks there, alluding to the fact that Green Bay could perhaps struggle, but we didn't think they would this badly. Like, I thought, honestly, I thought they were still going to be competitive. They were still going to be in games. They were going to win more games than lose, but man, this is way different than I thought it was going to be.
Especially because you got those two strong running backs in the backfield too as well. And
right.
You've got Aaron Rodgers. You think you're going to be scoring, and you weren't this season so far. He says when wide receiver 3 last year is wide receiver 1 this year, you're going to have a bad time. But look at the Giants. The Giants went and beat the Green Bay Packers, and what are they? They're running on the wide receiver 3 as their number 1 right now.
Right.
You know
I mean, so
with
that
Daniel
argument,
Jones.
but that's the thing is, like, we all talk about next man up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And if guys had more, like, let's just say this for argument's sake. If Green Bay, whether you're wide receiver 3 playing wide receiver 1 or a new rookie coming in like Romeo Doubs has shown flashes of being that primary receiver or maybe that go-to guy perhaps at times with Allen Lazard, you got to catch the ball. You got to hold on to the ball. So it's all about, execution, I would say, on the receivers part. And if you're not running the right routes, if you're not being able to secure the football, that's on them. And that's why really this offense is really struggling, because Rodgers can't trust anybody. Rodgers is only willing to trust guys like Lazard or guys like Cobb, but Cobb has been hurt. Or I'm kind of stunned. Until last week, where has Robert Tonyan been? Last week was the first time he got, I believe, 10 targets, which is the highest in his career. You need to keep going to that well. You need to be able to utilize him and Lazard and kind of make these defenses respect, your offense better than what they have been. So, yes, I understand you're going to go through some growing pains because you no longer have Adams there, and you have some of these young guys trying to step up. But man, it's got to come together at some point for Green Bay. I feel like we saw them perhaps struggle early in the season because of the lack of experience, because of the trust issues that they have, and the execution, to be honest. But man, at some point it's got to break. At some point, Green Bay's got to get back on point with their offense going forward. Why not? What's it going to hurt to not be so reliant on the pass? You got, like you said, you got 2 great running backs that you could just, if you have to, you might have to change your offense a little bit. You might have to call more run plays. And if you can continue to move the ball that way, that's going to open everything else up. So utilize Robert Tonyan, utilize Lazard, utilize that running game, and maybe, hell, Aaron Jones out of the backfield is very difficult to stay with on running routes, or receiving routes. So mix it up a little bit more. Yeah. Maybe you do have to run the ball more, because I think as long as your offensive line is healthy, I've seen Green Bay do it before where they just bowl through teams. Yeah. You know what I mean? With those running backs that they have. So maybe there needs to be a little shift in the terminology or philosophy offensively. Until that happens, we might still see them struggle a little bit on that side of the ball.
Yeah. And he also says here before we were talking about Russell Wilson, he says maybe Pete Carroll deserves more credit and seen the writing on the wall. Now his former teammates are all coming out about what was going on there when Russell Wilson was there with the Seattle Seahawks. Who knows? Again, this has been an interesting season, at that. And I say that every year, oh, man, it's a surprise. But this one has been different in many different ways, you know what I mean? Because some of the teams that are not as good as what they might have been last year and stuff, and still unsure of what I'm really looking at right now. And the fact that the NFC East has, the most wins, and then the AFC East on the other side has the most wins on the AFC side. It's just crazy. It's just flip-flop. The West was winning it for a while, and now it's back to the East. It's come back home. So it's exciting. So we're excited to check it out, and this season's going to get even crazier as we go. And
one more time,
night,
Jim. One more time, Jim.
One more
Let's
night.
go.
Yeah,
let's go. Show it up.
Tomorrow night. I know, Mike, you can't join us in person there, but if you check us out, we will be broadcasting live tomorrow too, from 7 to 8 here at Sake in Latham. Check it out for the extended happy hour. Joe says it's extended from 5 to 9 now. Awesome. So that's right up to game start and right through a little bit of the game. So check it out. $2 Sapporo drafts and $5 select apps. I might get one of everything. And again, multiple mixed drinks that they have too on the chalkboard there too, the things that they're doing. And at halftime, we will be giving away a jersey. You get your choice of a Saints jersey or a Cardinals jersey. We will not tell you who they are, who's on those.
No,
you have to
won't.
come.
You have to be there.
Check it out. Put your name in the box, and also subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yeah,
and we have
you definitely have to. You have to subscribe, but not only that, you have to show us proof that you subscribed before you can write your name and drop it in the box. Also, you have to be present. I can't stress that enough. You have to be present to win the jerseys at halftime. Yep. If you're not there,
we're not gonna mail it to you.
We're gonna pick a different name. So make sure you're there. Make sure you write it out with us. Have some fun. We're gonna have some drinks, have some food, and talk football. It's gonna be a blast. Listen, we're also gonna have a special guest tomorrow on there. Saints team reporter Lawrence Elliott will be there to talk about the Saints side of the game.
Hashtag
and also,
know-it-alls.
if maybe we can find a Cardinals fan in the crowd, maybe they can talk a little bit about their team as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We have more live shows in the works, too. We'll let you know about some more of those coming on, and it's going to be a lot of fun this year. We said we were going to do it this season, and we're going full bore this season. So thanks so much for joining us here, and we'll see you guys.
If you're a potential, listen, I got to cut you off for a second.
Go ahead.
If you're a potential business that wants us in your house and help bring some business to you, hit us up. You can hit us up anywhere. You can even, if you wanted to, even on YouTube, comment in this section. We'll pick it up. We'll start talking. Facebook, anywhere that we're at. Twitter. You want to message us. So get to know us, and we'll get to know you. We'll talk some details out. We'll hammer a live event out for you.
Yep.
So far, we've been pretty successful with this, bringing new business to local businesses, and it's been awesome. It's been an awesome ride. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. It's been amazing. One last thing. Make sure you get your ass over to Latham, New York, tomorrow night. We'll be at Sake Japanese Steakhouse. Head over there. Even if you were to stop in for a few minutes, just say hi. You know what I mean? We're going to be there. It's going to be a blast.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.